Hello and welcome to 6 Part. Today I'm gonna start a new series, What If Deku Was Power Hungry, Part 1. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
I require to improve. Boom boom I require to have more strength. BZZZTI require to possess greater intelligence. FWOOSH. The others are not necessary for me. Tink tink. The others won't enable me to reach my objective. Flump flump I've got to do this myself. TSS the only individual I can trust. Pop 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 the sole individual capable of achieving my objective. Ah, that's me. Any more and you'll blow out your voice. I ceased to use my quirk, Shota. Shota handed me a bottle of water and explained, "You've been at this for 3 hours straight. Even Mike couldn't scream that long, or he shouldn't. You're making decent headway." I put the bottle in the recycling bin after saying, "Decent isn't good enough. I have 48 powers, 47 if you exclude one for all. I need to train those 47 to be the best they can be. And I only had 3 days to train 29 of them. Your quirk allows you to permanently copy another quirk and add it into your repertoire. However, it starts off weak, not to mention any negative effects the quirk has on your body stays when you swap. And as you figured out, you can only have up to 50 at a time, and to top it all off, using multiple quirks at a time hurts your head. I've grown used to using at most 10 powers at once, 13 is pushing it." I said. Shota clarified, "As of right now, you have 47 and that oaf's power. It's a powerful quirk to be sure, but only 18 of the quirks in my arsenal have been trained. Not to mention some of the students' quirks are useless to me, or similar to others. It all came down to which ones has the higher ceilings of improvement. Take Kirishima's hardening versus Tetsu's steel for example. While Kirishima can improve the durability of his hardening, Tetsu can improve the durability and strength of his steel, by eating more irons, based on my observations anyway. Not to mention steel has higher resistances to heat and immunity to freezing, while Kirishima doesn't have such luxury, based on his fight with Todoroki. Kirishima's hardening is exceptional against physical attacks, terrible against anything elemental. As opposed to Tetsu's steel, which is good against physical, excellent against elemental, and projectiles like Aoyama's naval laser. Seems you still have your motormouth habit. Well, what you said was correct. Tetsu's quirk was a better long-term solution. But that's not all, I said as I took out my notebook. In each and every one of the students, in both 1A and 1B, there are things that hold them back. Whether it'd be quirk obstacles, or personal obstacles. For example, Kota is too shy to talk. Tetsu, Sato, and Bakugo are all offense and no defense, and Ojiru's attacks are too simplistic. Or, normal, just to name the most obvious ones. Those obstacles are what's stopping them from advancing to the next level. Their loss, because I won't fall for those traps. Nezu has corrupted you. It was necessary, I will find them, whoever they are, and throw them to the depths of Tartarus. And then after you accomplish your goal, Shota responded, you told me you don't want to become a hero forever, so what's your goal afterwards? I was lucky to have a power as limitless as this one, and I was lucky to have all of you to train me to use it properly. I said with my right hand raised, however, there will come a time where the world won't need heroes. There will be a purse snatching or robbery, but crime will reach an all-time low. That the world won't need heroes as much as they do now, or did a decade ago. That's something people who want to become heroes don't think about. They don't think, what do I do after my work is done? So for me, well, Shio wanted me to become the next recovery girl. Her words, not mine, so a medical license would be nice. And Naomasa wants me to become a detective, so there's that. Mumbling again, I answered, get used to it. Well, you're right. That is something no one but you thinks about. Maybe you can replace me when I retire. I can only do so much, Shota. Don't get smart with me, I'm still your teacher. I said, right sorry, and started to head for the door. They adopted me and taught me how to be the best. That can't be for nothing, can it? When Hagakure complains about me, he says, I'm telling you, he's lazy. Excellent. He doesn't attend class, and the one time he did, he didn't do jack anything during the combat training. All he did was sit there with his stupid hand held, leaving me with all of the work. Yayorozu also said, I must admit I did not wish to win that way. A group of voices I recognized soon concurred. Ashido, you deserved that. Not to mention, Unhinge. Remember how he reacted when I went into his room? To be fair, you did barge into his room without knocking in any way, shape or form. What if he was naked or something? Replied Tokage. Either way, it's a bummer. He has such fluffy looking hair and a baby face. Why do all of the good guys always have bad traits? Not what I anticipated, but it functions. Well, there's no use listening in, it's time to go back to my room. Naturally, Shiozaki would speak out against it, saying, it's unbecoming of a hero to talk bad about your classmates. But he deserves it, he was lazy. What makes you think it was laziness and nothing else? Well, he was just playing his video games. Did you not notice how he was yawning during breakfast? Or how he's hardly here after school? And no. Then don't assume he's lazy, fine. It's okay even though she didn't have to do that. Clock clock clock, there's a knock. I stopped playing the game and stood up to open the door, exposing Shiozaki, dressed in a nightgown, standing in the doorway. Good evening, Midoriya. She bowed in greeting. Good evening, Shiozaki. Did you need something? I inquired, while she displayed a basket. Is that a cactus? She said, I have come bearing gifts. Why? Well, I just wanted you to know that you shouldn't let negative perceptions get to you. After hearing negative things for so long, you grow callous to them. She answered, I see. Before giving me a case and a basket filled with various candies, along with the cactus. Anyway, I need to continue studying, goodbye. Then, she went out, leaving the basket for me, along with the cactus. I put them down and took my phone out. Click BZZBZZ. Yes, Izuku. Nezu. I have a question. Well, ask away. How does one take care of a cactus? TSSS's creep my everyday schedule. I get up at 5, do my daily workouts, take a shower at 6, finish at 6:10, and eat breakfast while the others work out in the morning. Or sleeping until 7 o'clock, then. To determine whether anything will occur today, use foresight. I can predict any future actions the person you are viewing will take for the foreseeable future thanks to foresight. It only lasts for an hour, and I have to wait a full day to use it again. I just have to put my hand on someone and look them in the eyes. And I see what lies ahead for them. I am unable to use it on myself. I made an effort. According to Uncle Sasaki, the future I envision for other people is set in stone and cannot be altered. He has attempted, many times. And the individual I ran into was Shiozaki. She said, bowing, oh, good morning, Midoriya. Prior to entering the baths. Then I noticed it, her prospects. Shiozaki lands in the water zone. They escape and swim to the edge. The black muscle monster smashes Shota's face into the ground. The hand villain rushes to Shiozaki. The media. Some sort of election. Lunch. A crowd of students. Her watching me speak to Shota and Vlad. 1A and 1B riding buses. USJ. And finally. Dark. Dark. Denotes death. If I do nothing to stop it, Shiozaki will die. I obviously saw the future and shared it with Mr. King and Shota. Consequently, they brought both classes to the USJ. What happens if I keep the attack a secret from them? Then, there is a 50-50 chance that it will be 1A or 1B, and even if I were to save Shiozaki, I wouldn't be there if it's 1B, and if it's 1A, someone else might perish. And if 1A and 1B go after I tell them, I'm not sure where I'll end up after that. I could be transported to a different location. Additionally, it seems that neither Mr. King nor Shota are interested in calling off the USJ trip for whatever reason. I have the power to alter the future by putting a stop to it before it occurs. There's no doubt that it takes place during lunch. Ectoplasm's clone quirk is mine. I can create a clone of myself and ensure that neither Vlad nor Shota will know. Then, before the villains reach the USJ, I'll have to put an end to their attack. I can then enter with the clone and they won't notice. All of this is based on nothing at all. All of this, I assume, happens immediately following lunch. The USJ is roughly 3 kilometers away from the UA. It would take 15 to 20 minutes to take the bus from UA to the USJ. In addition to loading the bus, include the explanation and any queries they may have. It took me 20 full minutes to defeat the villains and replace the clone. I'll have to get through it despite the fact that I'll be exhausted and bruised when everyone leaves. Of my 48 quirks, 29 had not received any training. Furthermore, of the 19 quirks that were trained, just 5 are helpful to others, and not in a combative sense. The other 14 are combat useful. Depending on the terrain we'll be fighting on and other variables, maybe 12. Whatever the case, I have some weapons. The greatest dangers are the warp villain, the hand villain, and the muscular monster. One is evident, another is bothersome, and one is essentially one that reduces humans to dust. We don't know how long, but it will happen. It's not a transformation quirk, though. Erasure should therefore work on him. All right. I am capable of doing this. I owe her so much that I must do this. Slam creak creak. I'm on board. The time is 12:45, we just finished lunch. Click lights. Indicating that the trap has been set. Many villains have crawled out of the purple wormhole that has been opened. The largest threats left last, but none of them caught my attention. The mist villain, the hand villain, and the muscular monster. As he twisted in front of me, the mist villain said, "So it seems a kid walked into the bear cave. Greetings. We are the League of Villains. I take it you're a part of UA? Correct, I knew about your attack since this morning. So a future side quirk?" With a raised eyebrow, I said, "We'll roll with that." I can only infer that he shifted his eyes, at least that's what I think. I see. Well, our goal is to kill the symbol of peace. However, he is not here at the moment. So it would be proper if you left. FWOOSH, GHH, slam. As I started down the stairs, I said, "I have a future sight quirk, meaning I know what will happen if I don't stop you right here right now." I said, "I'm afraid I can't leave, not just yet." I then made my way to the main plaza. So let's get this over with. Back at the bus, no one's point of view. 1A and 1B are moving in the direction of the USJ, as Midoriya vaguely predicted. Every one of them rides a different class bus. As demonstrated by Tsuyu Asui's conversation with the clone Midoriya, who is positioned in the classroom, I always speak my mind Midoriya. The clone did not look up when Ishido muttered, "Hello? She's talking to you, dude. Jerk." Oh well, what I needed to say wasn't important. Aizawa yelled, "Stop the bus," as the bus driver slammed the brakes with a shrill scream, slightly jarring the pupils. Aizawa squinted in the distance as Asui said, What happened, sir?" When he saw who had kicked out of the building, his anger flared. "Sir, what's wrong?" he said, turning abruptly and making his way to the back of the bus. FWIP Aizawa encircled the clone with his scarf, and tugged, firmly. Through the clone, the scarf flew. Then it vanished. The handheld fell to the ground. What? As he crushed the 3DS beneath his heel, Aizawa remarked, "I should have realized it when he had this dark blue 2DS XL. He only uses his Hylian Shield variant." "Yes, sir. How do you know about that fact?" As he strode back towards the driver, he growled, "Doesn't matter. Step on it, we need to get to the USJ as quickly as possible." "Why yes, sir," the driver exclaimed, putting all of his weight on the accelerator. Then Aizawa took his phone out. "Vlad, tell your bus driver to speed it up. We have to get to the USJ as fast as we can." Vlad King hung up after saying, "Why do we got it?" Aizawa then dialed another number. 13. "Are you at the USJ yet?" "I'm almost there, I saw it too." Aizawa turned off his phone and said, "Get there as fast as you can." "Sir, as class representative I must know this has nothing to do with you." "But sir," he snarled, "nothing to do with you," while Yaoyorozu sagged back in her chair. "You had better be alright, it will not be my responsibility to keep your word." Midoriya's point of view, wham H, he's tough, GHH. Slam H, he is just as powerful as Toshinori. Gra. It's not possible. Wham crash FWOOSH. Nomu. He has too many spells for a level 5 enemy. Kill him. Shigaraki commanded as the Nomu charged at me. "I apologize. Mom." Midoriya. Slam FWIP whoosh. What? S. Shiozaki. "Are you okay, Midoriya? What are you? NGH. What are you doing here?" Mr. King and Mr. Aizawa said not to go inside, but I had to make sure you were okay. Nomu. "Kill the brats. Gra AHH, H he's on his way. I must take a chance in order to keep her safe." M. Midoriya. RIP. Recipro burst. I must use Tensai's Recipro burst and 100% of one for all. FWOOSH wham I have to endure the agony. When it's staggered, my left leg comes next. Wham I punched the Nomu square in the chest after slamming my mangled legs to the ground and delivering a full force one for all blow with my fist. Gra. It's insufficient. I need to increase the firepower. This might reveal my secret. However, I must use an explosion. Boom 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 boom. GHH. GHH. Every explosion I let out makes my bones crack, but one more ought to do the trick. BOOM, hurry up. BOOM, commence. BOOM. Go away. BOOM, gra. Boom, it's gone. I completed it. It was the worst one-liner ever. Never. NGGH. Huh? There's the fluorescent light I know so well. About time you woke up. Shio murmured, let me just preface this by saying you had 5 broken ribs, a concussion, broke both of your legs, made them worse by standing on them, broke your right arm, strained your left by unleashing numerous explosions, and to top it all off suffered from quirk exhaustion. That sounds problematic. Shio exclaimed, it is, and then sighed. You could have told USA. You saw the future, but you said nothing about it. I saw the future where that happened. Shigaraki would have disintegrated Shiozaki, and I still owe her. Sigh, that oaf has ruined you. Shota said the same thing about Nezu. Oh, did he now? As he climbed onto the bed, I said, oh hello. What you did was reckless and dangerous, he continued, but it also left with no casualties. Most of the students are concerned about you, however. Doesn't matter. I figured that's what you'd say. Nezu said with a sigh, you were cleared to go. However, the USJ trips have been delayed to improve security and rebuild the USJ, but the students are talking about you. I mumbled, great, and got out of bed. All I can do is slip past them. In the meantime, Shigaraki scratched his neck frantically and whimpered, Sensei. This brat ruined everything. He beat Nomu, and had multiple powers. Is that so? That, Sensei, inquired. Shigaraki is right, sir. That kid was able to utilize the quirks of Eraserhead, Ingenium, and others I don't recognize. This is an interesting development. Sensei said, while the loss of the Nomu is unfortunate, we've gained some information. Keep your head held high, Tamura Shigaraki, for you will have another opportunity to make a statement. Shigaraki snarled, NGGH, and rushed away while Kurogiri kept cleaning a spotlessly clean glass. He was currently limited to bartending in this empty bar. After the screen shut off, Sensei was left to his imagination. Let's see how this helps you get better. The Pav of Midoriya. Bu-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Bu-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Click. Hama NGGH. I am still hurting. Okay, there's no use in complaining. I pushed myself to get out of bed, completed my workouts, showered, and went to Training Ground Alpha. In the meantime, the police interrogated the villains that were left behind. They said they were a part of the League of Villains led by one Tamura Shigaraki. They also talked about the creature, called Nomu, and how he has numerous different quirks, Aizawa said. Principal Nezu remarked, tragic, but not unexpected. So the villains are banding together. 13 muttered, anyway. I wish Izuku didn't have to get involved. Aizawa inquired, speaking of, what are we going to do about Izuku? He pushed himself with one for all too far, all to save Shiozaki. The deflated All Might replied, even with his knowledge of full cowling, as he called it, he reverted back to his old methods to take down that villain. To think. That villain he defeated could withstand his limit of 45% of one for all. Not to mention Shiozaki knows about his powers. We are lucky that she's the only one. Speaking of, shouldn't we be concerned that she might tell her classmates about Izuku's power? For now, we must focus on Izuku's development. Right now he's our powerful asset, and now that this League of Villains know about Izuku's abilities, he will be a bigger target. Cementos clarified. Snipe said, or maybe we should use this to our advantage. Then Ectoplasm said, explain? If the League knows about Izuku's power, then we should show it off. Show them his abilities. Live in front of everyone. You're not suggesting that Izuku uses his full power during the sports festival, the Mighty murmured. What other choice do we have? Snipe responded, the League caught us with our pants down, so let's show them what we're made of. Why must your answer to everything involve a triumphant display of military bravado? Replied Midnight. We've kept Izuku out of the spotlight and trained him in the shadows. Now that he has gained powers he likes, untrained powers at that, you want him to show off? You treat every situation like a contest of measuring D? That's enough, Ms. Midnight. Principal Nezu responded, as much as I don't wish to have Izuku show off until he's ready. I'm afraid we have no choice. But sir, however, he still has to prepare for midterms. As for training. Boom bzzzt bleep as he blasted lasers out of his stomach, levitated countless pieces of debris, blasted off horns from his head, and blew air walls in front of him. Midoriya was shown on the screen releasing massive explosions, gripping an electric generator, releasing waves of fire and ice, shooting acid into a wall, driving earphone jacks into a wall, and shooting out scales. He's been at this since this morning. It's currently 8:14 at night. Nezu, the principal, said, as we and the students know, he rarely goes to class. He uses the time that he would have wasted from attending class to train. He's in pain. 13 added, he's taking the loss at the USJ personally, thinking he wasn't strong enough to protect that girl, not without breaking himself. For the first time during this meeting, Present Mike voiced his own opinion by asking, should we stop this? As much as I would like to, he refuses to stop. Nezu, the principal, said, he's determined to get stronger, always has been. Even if it breaks his body, he strongly believes he will come out stronger. This has been going on for 10 years. He knows he's feeling pain and the effects of overusing his quirks, but he doesn't care. As Nezu shut off the screen, Midnight watched her nephew push himself toward the edge and thought, I just want you to be happy. So we're still going through with the sports festival? Aizawa responded. Yes, the administration want to ease the press that the attack was a one-time incident, and we are taking actions to make sure that will be a one-time incident. Principal Nezu clarified. Aizawa mumbled in frustration, sounds like they're covering their asses. That's because they are. Principal Nezu responded, but it'll give the students an insight on each other's abilities, and the pros who want to take them in for the work studies. Aizawa gave in and said, okay, I'll tell them on Monday. The meeting has been adjourned. As she stood in front of a building that, to the uninitiated, appears deserted, with vines growing along the walls and a faded but barely readable sign that read, Training Ground Alpha, Shiozaki muttered to herself, so this is where he goes after hours. Good place to do some private training. Mr. King didn't mention this place. In any case, I have to pay him back for saving me. As she grabbed her basket full of random items and reached for the handle, she told herself, and tell him to never do it again. She was unprepared for what emerged from the door. FWOOSHBOOMBZZT. This is excessively loud. Shiozaki shouted, but I have to keep going. With the noise increasing in volume as she pushed, she made her way to the center of it. Until it ceased. Shiozaki, what are you doing here? Midoriya asked, putting on a strong front and not seeming weary or exhausted. Hi Midoriya. You saved my life at the USJ, and I'm here to repay you. And to tell you, please, not to do it again? I'm reaching my voltage limit, even with 5 days of intense training. Due to it being extremely useful but dangerously risky, Midoriya thought before writing his message. Damaged hearing. She probably didn't hear me but said what she was doing because she saw me looking at her. The notebook was wavy, and the pen was leaking from the end. You're writing what? Ignoring her query, Midoriya held out the notebook and said, will you hold out your hand? Of course. Midoriya took her right hand and gave it a gentle kiss on the back, but she quickly withdrew it after she yelled and gave it to him. Why did you owe? I thought I was screaming, and the reason I am. Okay, so, weary. Midoriya hurried over to catch Shiozaki and the basket before they hit the floor as she began to fall forward. It became much more difficult to return to the dorms. This is beep beep beep. Shiozaki mumbled, good morning, Lore, before surveying her surroundings. This. My Rua note, isn't it? Good morning, Shiozaki said, leaning over to pick up the note. You dozed off from fatigue, and I still don't fully understand that quirk. I have to give it more training. I couldn't leave you in your room, anyway. I thought your keycard was in your back pocket since I couldn't find it in your sweater or front pockets. And while you were unconscious, I didn't want to touch you there. I therefore gave you permission to spend tonight in my room. I wash the sheets every day during lunch, so don't worry. Shiozaki read out loud, I am, and then surveyed his room. The Room King match between 1A and 1B was interrupted when Ishido stormed into Midoriya's room. It goes without saying that things did not go well. Rewind. All right. It's time for the very first Room King contest. As she hurried upstairs, Ishido yelled, Midoriya's is the first room. FWIP slam thunk. Ah. Ishido exclaimed in shock, as she fell on her back, before standing back up and looking extremely angry. What the hell Midoriya? I could have been killed by you. Midoriya. Tenya Iida, the vice class representative, stormed into his room and declared, that was really risky, I apologize immediately. He's not the one who should apologize, but Mr. Aizawa. As he pried the knife from the wall, a few pink hairs fell to the ground, as you can see. Aizawa said, he made sure to not hit you, just scrape off some hairs. It was merely a blind attempt. Really? as he threw the knife as forcefully as he could at Midoriya, Mr. Aizawa inquired. FWIP. So you were never in danger, he said, catching it while his eyes were still fixed on the television. In addition to that, do you know what knocking is? Iida bowed before Midoriya, while Ishido walked away huffily after saying, fine. I sincerely regret making assumptions too quickly, Midoriya. Midoriya said, don't worry about it, and then he grabbed the flagpole for a one-up. It's just about what she predicted, and Shiozaki didn't have a chance to look at his room because it was cut short. Aside from the cactus on his shelf, the room was cluttered with video games, with shelves full of games from various consoles. She has a sneaking suspicion that this isn't his entire collection, but what really caught her attention were the figurines, specifically 4 that stood out from the others, primarily because they were made of yarn. She grabbed the pink one to satisfy her curiosity. It is yarn, she said, gently squeezing the nose. It's 100% yarn, she said, adding that it was very cute. Knock knock. Shiozaki made the impulsive statement, you may come in. She later realized she wasn't in her room, but it was too late to take that back. Click creak. With a steaming bowl of porridge carefully garnished with banana slices, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries, Midoriya said, you're awake. I hope it's to your liking, I'm not knowledgeable with berries. As she took a spoonful of porridge, Shiozaki remarked, oh, it's quite alright, it's cooked perfectly. Midoriya put down her bowl and said, I'm glad. But I have to ask. What took place last night? Shiozaki inquired. You entered my training. I healed you because it blew your ears out. Before giving her a small box, Midoriya explained. I carried you here because you fell asleep. I suggest you wear these the next time you visit. 100% soundproof earplugs. Before she remembered, Shiozaki said, oh thank you. Oh my gift? How did it end up? Midoriya pointed to the 2 baskets next to the cactus and said, it's right next to the other one. Shiozaki wondered, how did I miss that? Well, that's to thank you for keeping me safe at the USJ. And avoid doing it once more, please. But I haven't repaid you for the basket, the rosary, and the cactus, Midoriya replied. You saved me at the USJ, she whispered, but you didn't have to wait a moment. Did you not pay me back? As Midoriya glanced to his right, she inquired. It's complex. The response is, no, I was going to get you a gift, but I have to get you another one now. But you don't have to repay me. You return a gift to someone who gives it to you. Someone. I learned that from people close to me. In any case, I'm going to pay you back for both baskets, Midoriya clarified. She simply smiled quietly and picked up the bowl again, knowing that no amount of argument would make him change his mind. Shiozaki noted, very well, but I do have to repay you for letting me sleep in your room. Midoriya noted, but then we will be at an eternal loop of repayment. Better than an eternal loop of torment. Shiozaki chuckled softly as Midoriya remarked, you're an odd one. I've heard that one many times before. All right, Midoriya. After finishing his bowl of porridge and placing it on his nightstand, Shiozaki began, I've been meaning to ask. What is it? What's your peculiarity? I apologize, I shouldn't press, and Mineta just got slapped for peeping. It's complicated. He said, then used earphone jack to make sure no one was listening from outside. All he could hear was the constant chatter in the common room. I can use other quirks because of my quirk. Similar to Monoma's? Shiozaki inquired. That's right, but my power is greater, and more expensive. How? I can hold up to 50 quirks at once, and my quirk lets me permanently copy someone else's quirk. That cannot be changed by training, in addition to any quirks I imitate. They are in their base strength at first. Yaoyorozu's creation, for instance, is faster and more effective than mine because I copied it 5 days ago, whereas she had it her entire life. Midoriya clarified, in addition, if I push a quirk in my arsenal and switch to another one, the effect of that prior quirk will still be in effect. If I were to switch to Ishido's acid, after overusing Kaminari's electrification, I would still be brain dead and therefore inoperable. I see. Hold on, are you okay? You used a lot of quirks last night. If I can't handle the strain of those quirks, then I shouldn't have them at all. But that's too many at once. I'm fine, Shiozaki. In any case, you ought to be sleeping, Shiozaki realized after realizing that he was lying. If I take a day off, then I will lose progress. Working too hard is akin to doing nothing at all. Shiozaki yelled, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell, and then covered her mouth. No. You make me think of someone who told me that. Really? Who? Somebody I admire, he said, then shook his head. In any case, as I previously mentioned, I am only allowed to have 50 quirks. Right now, I have 47. As it stands. Wait a moment. It appears she has figured it out. You can choose from 40 different quirks. 39 if your own is not included. 39 is not the same as 47. Very impressive. You're correct. The hero course students can only have 39 different quirks. But, Midoriya said, I only have 27 of them. Then who the staff? Again, you're right. I have metal claws, heal, blood control, erasure, voice, somnambulist, cement, homing, clone, dog, and black hole, Midoriya said. However, that is 11 and only equals 38, not 47. You're right once more. But that's all I have to say, Midoriya clarified. Could, indicating that you wish to but are unable to? You never cease to amaze me. Before shrugging, Midoriya stated, I was told that my power should be kept secret until I'm strong enough to hold my own. Most people would gloss over that fact. I'm telling you, since I know I can rely on you. Shiozaki bowed and said, Oh, well, I'm glad that I have earned your trust. Earning that isn't hard at all. In any case, I'm going to train. Midoriya muttered. I just distrust most of the others. You can remain here for however long you like. Video games are everywhere if you want them, but I doubt you're a big fan. Shiozaki was left alone in the room with the video games and a cactus after Midoriya left. I suppose trying one couldn't hurt. Good, no one is following me, now I can't. It's uncontrollable. My phone. Let's get star. Click, hey. Midoriya. Shiozaki. How did you get my phone number? Midoriya inquired. Mr. I received it from Aizawa. I have a question to ask. Continue. What's the matter? Midoriya inquired, a little alarmed by the silence. It's rather embarrassing. Mineta lives with us. Being around him every day is embarrassing. She expressed neither agreement nor disagreement with the statement, it's just, no, forget it. Midoriya muttered impatiently, just ask the question. How is your console powered? That is dependent upon. For which one are you requesting? It's black, has a weird tablet on it, Wii U? Yes, that one does say it on the bottom. I am unsure about how to connect it. I'm en route. I don't want to take time out of your training. I'm on my way. Shiozaki answered, well I will be waiting, and hung up. I had not anticipated spending my Saturday in this manner. Click creak as he placed the console next to the television, Midoriya said, it's easy to plug it in. This gray cord is a HDMI cable, and it's easier to plug it into the HDMI 1 slot, since that's what the TV is already set to. Midoriya said, plugging the cable into the television, now you just plug in the power cable, and turn it on. He turned on the console, and while it was booting up, he went to the bookcase and took out 50 blue cases, placing them on the bed next to her. Here are some options that I'm sure you'll enjoy. That's a lot. The library on the Wii U isn't vast in any way. These are simpler and not nearly as violent as the alternatives. Decide which one you like best and don't make contact. The first. Save. According to Shiozaki, understood. Before returning to training, Midoriya gave one final piece of advice. Also, don't forget to eat and keep yourself hydrated. As she went through the cases, Shiozaki thought, I should be fine, I will play for an hour at most. She didn't find any of the cases appealing. A red-hated man, a red-tied ape, a boy in a green tunic, and a fox in a Suida until she got to the middle of the stack, where the game was called Yoshi's Woolly World, and she knew right away that it was the winner. When she inserted the game into the slot, the console spit it out again. Creak before actually leaving this time, Midoriya said, also, picture side up. Shiozaki thought, an hour only, as she chose the second file after navigating past the attractive title screen. She had absolutely no idea that she would be performing for over an hour. I believe that's enough for today, Midoriya muttered to himself, as he straightened himself out. Before checking his phone. No calls or messages. Shiozaki never gave a call. She would have to ask a question of some kind, I suppose. It doesn't matter. She most likely simply left the Wii U plugged in. When he arrived at the dorms, he saw nothing. Okay, I'm worried, Midoriya thought, and then he plugged an earphone jack into the wall. He heard a lot of noises, including Bakugo's angry grunt, Tokoyami's brooding, Aoyama's posing, and other typical sounds made by the boys, but one thing in particular caught his attention. Shiozaki is where? She promised to attend our meeting or sleepover. Ashido inquired. I'm not sure. Kendo said, she wasn't in her room. As he ascended to his room, Midoriya thought, don't tell me. Click creak. I was aware of it. Sitting there with a blanket over her shoulders, Shiozaki was frantically escaping from a huge yarn plant that was chomping at her. Lord, please keep me safe from this demon. Prior to approaching the resolute Shiozaki, Midoriya reflected, I must admit, it's impressive that someone who hasn't played a video game before is at World 4 in 10 hours, and she had to have gotten all of the flowers to play this level. Snap and gave her a quick snap of his fingers. Oh no. Before turning to face Midoriya, she yelled, oh, Midoriya. You're back pretty quickly. The time is 7:43 p.m. Midoriya said, you've been playing for 10 whole hours. Shiozaki glanced out the window to watch the sun slowly set. Oh, was her only statement. Grr, before her stomach let out a very loud growl. Midoriya muttered, I told you to eat and keep yourself hydrated. Then he looked around the floor and noticed many bottles scattered everywhere. Looks like I'll have to restock the mini fridge, he thought, sighing. Stay here, I'll bring you something to eat. Why, you don't have to do that, I can cook for myself. Before reaching for the door handle and slowly opening it, he stated, I was going to go to the kitchen to cook for myself anyway. I'll be back. Fortunately, no one saw Midoriya levitating the plates, and he returned to his room half an hour later with 2 omelets and fried rice, along with 2 glasses of tea, to avoid an awkward conversation with the witness. He reached out and opened the door. Snore Shiozaki was found unconscious on the bed, with the cases strewn all over the place and the game still playing in the background. As he placed the omelet and glass of tea in the mini fridge and quietly tidied the room, Midoriya thought, I'm surprised she stayed awake for this long after playing for 10 hours straight. When I was 12 I couldn't go past 12 hours. He then wrote a note, grabbed a pillow, and left the room. I guess I'm spending my second consecutive night in the common room. Kirishima leapt from his seat as Mr. Aizawa said, the UA Sports Festival is about to begin. Come on, let's kick some ass, excitedly, he yelled, but Kaminari pushed him back down. Hold on. Is holding the sports festival so soon after the villains broke in really such a smart idea? Jiru questioned doubtfully. Ojiru continued, once we're all in the same place, they could attack. They wouldn't attack after such a massive failure. Midoriya said, they all got taken out by a 15-year-old kid, they aren't going to attack UA when there is numerous pro heroes at the scene. Just because you took them down by yourself, doesn't mean you can grow a fucking ego about it. Bakugo sighed. It's not an ego, it's assessing the circumstances, Midoriya said. In any case, the administration believes that this is a good way to demonstrate that the threat has been neutralized and that our school is less vulnerable than before. This event is a huge opportunity for all UA students, Mr. Aizawa explained, adding that security has been strengthened in comparison to previous years. We cannot simply call it off due to a few bad actors. One of the world's most watched events is our sports festival. Everyone used to be fixated on other athletic events. The Olympic Games, the World Series, and the Super Bowl are the most anticipated events. Then quirks began to show up. These days, the size and audience of those events have significantly decreased. There is only one tournament that matters to anyone who enjoys competition. UA Sports Festival. You're correct. This is where you get scouted, Yaoyorozu said, clenching her fist, adding that, top heroes everywhere will be watching. She is correct. With a thumbs up, Kaminari explained, many people join pro-hero agencies as a sidekick after graduating. Yes, but some people only go that far, Jiru said, actually, that's probably where you're headed, before turning to face Kaminari. They miss their chance to go indie and stay eternal sidekicks. Jiru said, you're kind of dumb, which caused Kaminari to flinch. It's true that you can gain more experience and recognition by working for a well-known hero agency. The festival is important because of this. This event might pave the way for you if you ever want to become a professional. Once a year. Once in a lifetime. 3 chances. No would-be hero can afford to miss this festival. That means you better not slack off on your training, Mr. Aizawa said. Yes, sir. Class is dismissed. Clock clock clock. Creak. Yes. I'm sorry I occupied your room for 2 nights, Shiozaki bowed and exclaimed. I need something significant, but it's nothing. Yes, anything. Do you own any books that explain the significance of flowers? Well, yes, I do have one. Do you want to borrow it? Yes, if you would be so kind. It's not a problem, I shall return in a moment. Shiozaki came back a moment later carrying a rather thick book and said, "You may return it when you are finished with it." Midoriya removed the book from her hands and said, "Thank you. Would you mind telling me why you need it?" "Something important." She simply bowed and left, acknowledging that the reason was probably personal. He closed the door, sat on the bed, and turned to the table of contents. "It will be worthwhile." Slam. Wow, he's here for 2 days in a row. Mr. Aizawa was informed by Midoriya that she was unable to attend the sports festival. "What the hell? Why are you doing this?" Mr. Aizawa inquired. "You of all people should know my reason." "Excellent. You're exempt." "Like that?" Midoriya bowed and said, "Thank you." Then she left the classroom once more. Mr. Aizawa did not respond to any of the numerous questions that were posed. That freaking nerd has no right to skip the fucking sports festival. With tiny pops bursting from his palms, Bakugo screamed, "I wanted to rip his sorry ass a new one." "The same thing here. He's too cocky," Kaminari whispered. He hung his head in shame when Asui said, "You wouldn't last 3 seconds, ribbit." "However, it might be for the best that he isn't competing. Now we can win," Mineta said. "Ignore that. If I don't defeat that fucking nerd, it won't be a victory," Bakugo answered. Yaoyorozu remarked, "In any case, there is nothing we can do about it, so let it go." "No way. I don't give a fuck what that nerd's reasons are," Bakugo said. "Even though I have to remind him of it, he will compete." Before hurriedly leaving the classroom, he yelled, "Return here, Bakugo." Iida shouted as he hurried after him, and Yaoyorozu did the same. Before long, everyone was chasing after him. "This is bang bang bang. I'm a damn nerd. Fucking open the door." Juru shoved Bakugo aside and inserted her jack into the door, grunting before opening it and revealing nothing. "Move, moron. He's not inside." "After that, he's somewhere else." "Where is he?" "If I knew, I wouldn't have followed you to the place he isn't," Juru countered. "Well, don't you have excellent hearing? Be of service," Bakugo cried out. "Oh well, a walking RPG has ruined my super hearing. How could you have called me?" After saying, "What you fucking AR," Juru stopped and looked to the right. "What?" Bakugo snarled. "An explosion." "Fwoosh bzzzt boom, why did it take you so long?" Bakugo inquired as Juru came trotting up, gasping for air. "Why you have to deal with explosions? Propel you. Someone's in there." Juru grunted, then resumed her oxygen supply as usual. Bakugo retorted, "I can hear that, but it sounds like multiple people." Bakugo declared, "Fuck it, I'm going in. Allow me to take a step back. I won't leave without losing my hearing if the noise level outside is this high. Just fucking leave. I'm as invested in this as you are." Grabbing the handle, Bakugo said, "Then don't fucking puss out then," and dragged. "Nothin'?" Bakugo and Juru entered. It appeared to be a World War II battlefield. A massive ice glacier was perched in the outer wall, and the building was covered in craters and ash. However, nobody was there except for those two. Bakugo questioned, "Where the fuck is whoever was in here?" Juru stabbed the ground with an earphone jack. Rustling leaves and wind. But nothing else. "They're not here, not even outside, whoever they were." "Damn it. BZZ. It's Yao Momo, our time is up." "Fucking fine." Juru accompanied Bakugo as he walked out in a huff, saying, "I'll corner his ass after school." Splash. "Oh no." "Ka." Midoriya shook off the dampness in his hair and mumbled, "Ha." Softening. "I'm very happy that I learned that. However, they'll be pursuing me. He won't put his pride aside unless he fights me, that fucking Bakugo. Can't they just stop bothering me?" Before snapping his back, Midoriya muttered to himself, "There's no use worrying about it. But I'll have to ask a favor from Shiozaki again." Tap tap tap. "Midoriya. What are you doing here?" Shiozaki said, opening the glass door leading to her balcony. "I expressed my disinterest in taking part in the sports festival to Mr. Aizawa. A private motive." Bakugo, however, was indifferent. "Thus, until the start of the sports festival, he and my classmates are searching for me. It goes without saying. I am unable to remain in my room at this time." Shiozaki answered, "I see." Recalling how he had passed Midoriya's room and seen Bakugo standing by the door, cursing at her before turning to face the stairwell. "I'm going to ask you a lot of things, however, may I remain in your room?" Midoriya inquired. "You gave me permission to sleep in your room," Shiozaki remarked. "It would be hypocritical of me to turn you away. I'm grateful. I will therefore need to perform 4 favors for you." Do you still believe that you must pay me back? Midoriya, are you still conscious? Indeed. All I want to know is, why are you such a gamer? I didn't originally own any of those games. They belonged to my mother, Midoriya declared. Your mom's? Mom loved to collect them and was an avid gamer. However, as you can see, it became unmanageable. Even though my room is filled with games. That's a fraction of what Mom possessed. Midoriya clarified, but she was. So much so that I had to take up an unused classroom for storage. Fantastic. She would accomplish things that I believed were impossible because of her extraordinary skill. As I observed her playing, I wanted to be like her, though. Change the topic. Abara, Shiozaki thought to herself, if he has all of them, what is your mother's favorite game? The name was Mother 3, Persona 5 Feed would come in second, and Okami would come in third. Midoriya clarified, actually, my all-time favorite game is Persona 5. When we next have a chance, could you show them to me? She inquired. I have a small feeling you wouldn't like Persona 5. Why not? Shiozaki inquired. Some design decisions. If she sees Mara or Satan, she'll probably want to burn the game immediately, Midoriya said. How about Okami and Mother 3? Since Okami is based on Japanese mythology, I'm sure you'll enjoy those. Mother 3 as well. Is a journey, but a pleasant one. I will look forward to that. It's time for us to sleep. Next week is midterm week. All right. Want to assist me with my studies? I do owe you. Shiozaki muttered, you don't very well. He knew that he would always interpret her words as repayment. Rustle as she turned around, Midoriya said, good night. Good night, Midoriya. Since there isn't a 2A and 2B is using Training Ground Beta, it should be simple. Midoriya thought, they know of Training Ground Alpha. I can't go back there until the sports festival is over. TDL it is. He crept to the training dining land, a facility that the first years won't be introduced to until summer vacation. At the moment, only the second and third years are aware of it. Hey. Who are you? He reasoned that 3 students, a baby-faced blonde, a vivacious but obnoxious blue-haired girl, and a quiet and apprehensive black-haired boy were present in the TDL, and the blonde was also nude. The blonde remarked, a first year shouldn't know about this place, got lost exploring? I told my teacher that I won't be participating in the sports festival, but I still want to train, Midoriya clarified. Really, why? Too frail. Too powerful. Simply dislike the media. That pink gassa, what is it? Why? Are you tired? Snore thud. I'm sorry for her. She is. The boy with the black hair said, I'm naturally curious, while he wrapped tentacles. Are you unable to use something new to cheer her up? The nude blonde grabbed her by the hips and said, don't worry, I got her. I honestly don't know what's worse. Midoriya replied, anyway, I want to hone my power in privacy, goodbye. Hold on, young man. What's stopping you from fighting us? We're to buy, the blonde said, putting the girl down. Big 3. Najire Hado, Tamaki Imajiki, and Mirio Tagata. Wave motion, permeation, and manifestation. Even though fighting you two would be fun. Before turning to face the door, Midoriya remarked, once again, I'd rather not, goodbye. Then Midoriya departed. My hierarchy for training. Dupliarms, softening, lizard tail splitter, explosion, electrification, vines, half hot half cold, acid, horn cannon, earphone jack, naval laser, gyrate, scales, and poltergeist are the most crucial skills to practice. Tail, big fist, solid air, steel, dark shadow, black, twin impact, razor sharp, and frog are all crucial for training. I've made some progress on the most significant ones, Midoriya said, listing off the less significant ones that depended on outside knowledge, such as zero gravity, anavoice, size, and creation. Using them all at once was made simple by Dupliarms. I could also use these attacks from a distance thanks to Lizard Tail Splitter. I've discovered that I can split a body part that is duplicated. It's hard to understand Horn Cannon, but I'll get it eventually. But they're not where I would like them to be, however, I still have plenty of time to train them. Once more, the importance are on and off. During active training, I use Twin Impact and Vines, but dark rooms are necessary for the Black and Dark Shadow. I'll spend the summer training Frog. Now, the least significant, Creation, Size, Anavoice, and Zero Gravity. Anavoice doesn't really need to be trained by me, since Voice was my trainer. Studying is necessary for Creation, and I still haven't managed to steal Yaoyorozu's dictionary. and dimensions. Depends on the circumstances. Click creak. Shiozaki entered and remarked, "Oh Midoriya, I forgot you were hiding here." Shiozaki glanced over his shoulder as Midoriya said, "Good afternoon Shiozaki." Hierarchy of training? She inquired. My conflicting emotions prevented me from using all 27 quirks at once without fainting. So I created a training hierarchy from most important to train, to important, to not important and reliant on outside knowledge, Midoriya said, acknowledging that she had tried. I see. How do you train your quirks? She asked. Mr. King probably told you that quirks are similar to muscles. Overuse causes your muscle fibers to break and then grow back stronger and more resilient. Your quirks get stronger the harder you push them. Now, as your body changes and your quirks' power gradually increases, I still have 27 more quirks to train. It goes without saying. Midoriya clarified, I don't have time for that. In addition to training those 27 quirks, I also need to keep up the strength of the other 19 quirks I have in my arsenal and the 3 more quirks I can have before I max out. But it's easier to maintain than to build. For the sake of the others, those quirks are therefore pushed back a little. I have to confess. I'm impressed, Shiozaki said, but why don't you demonstrate your strength to the others? And in addition to that, Midoriya said, because I was taught not to. I find it annoying when people ask me a lot of questions, so I'd prefer not to have that. Oh, I'm sorry. I replied, numerous, and you inquired, 7 at most. I have one final query. Why do you have those 4 if you rank them last? Though not as helpful, they are still useful. Consider creation as an example. Anyone can make anything as long as they understand its molecular and chemical makeup, which is a god-tier quirk. But all the possible uses for it. It's in another quirk of mine. Flash bangs. Razor sharp for any swords and daggers I could make. Detonation, etc. But creation has a purpose. Poltergeist is also connected to it. The same is true for size. Those quirks work best when combined with poltergeist. Actually, they complement each other. How? Size can cause them to enlarge, poltergeist can direct them toward adversaries, and creation can produce tiny projectiles. But in terms of general necessity, the most common in this process is poltergeist, and thus requires the greatest amount of training. I see. And a voice isn't actually required for instruction. I've practically already trained it because I have voice. All I need to do now is learn how to communicate with insects and animals, Midoriya said. And there's no gravity? It's similar to creation in size, but with an additional quirk. It's called jet, and it basically lets me move at the touch of a button by allowing me to release air from the soles of my feet, and without any sense of gravity? You'd be able to fly, essentially. Yes. Thus, my method is that, despite their utility, these quirks are either not prioritized in training or require little instruction. You have put a lot of thought into this. Yes, I must train as quickly and effectively as I possibly can. Even if it means giving some quirks priority. Impressive. Didn't you want me to help you study? Thank you, but that's enough of that, Midoriya said. Oh, indeed, I'll get my books now. The quotient rule in derivatives. What is the formula? With a tray of chocolate chip cookies he had stolen from Sato and an IOU to return the cookies, Midoriya inquired. Take g, x, times the derivative of f, x. Then you subtract the product with the product of f, x, times the derivative of g, x. Then divide that by g, x, squared. Since hero informatics and modern hero art history are 2 of Shiozaki's strongest subjects, Midoriya said, correct. He added 1 chocolate cookie to her ever-expanding stack and added, I'm going to have to get more cookies at this rate. Shiozaki answered, I don't think I can physically eat all of these cookies. I had no additional reward money. Tell me the product rule formula now. Take g, x, times the derivative of f, x, then add f, x, times the derivative of g, x. Good. And finally, chain rule, another cookie. It's the derivative of f, x, times g, x, and the product is multiplied by the derivative of g, x. Great. As she pushed the 3rd cookie toward her, Midoriya praised, and without your notes too. Now, let's attempt some practice questions. Shiozaki was sitting behind a massive pile of papers, all covered in math problems, when Midoriya said, and, you're done. How many? Did I do it? 500. You cannot possibly expect me to believe you did all 500, in under 3 hours, at age 13. Yes, I did. However, it's impressive that you completed the majority of them in 6 hours straight, which is roughly half my speed. Is that the reason? You don't often go to class? I don't go to class for precisely that reason. I could train during that time. But that's enough of that, Midoriya said, putting the books aside. Instead of wasting time listening to lectures I already know the answers to. We've pretty much completed the math for this term. We'll work on English tomorrow. Shiozaki got to her feet and muttered, excellent. Flung and flopped down on her bed, falling asleep at once. Perhaps I pushed her too much. We studied English and literature for 2 days, rested and relaxed on the final day before the midterms, and then, a week later, the tests were over. Second, gazing at Yaoyorozu's packet, Jiro cried out, who the hell got first? No way, Toru said, turning to face the only vacant seat. He didn't even show up for class. What could have caused him to score higher than us? Ashido cried out. Yaoyorozu studied her head in shame, wondering how she had failed to reach the top. Mr. Aizawa reprimanded, what matters is the sports festival tomorrow, not what you scored on your midterms. The remainder of the day is yours to practice at the last minute. Don't waste it. Yes, sir. Slam, I was ranked first, Shiozaki shouted as she held up her packet to Midoriya. Before giving her his test, Midoriya remarked, I expected as much. Principal Nezu was kind enough to let me take it in the safety of the dorm. I also received the highest rank. With a broad smile, Shiozaki remarked, I expected as much as well. But you still have work to do. I will try to watch the final event, but I have something I need to do, Midoriya said, adding, I fully expect you to take the top spot in the sports festival. Do you need help? No, Midoriya said, then turned to face the window. This is something I need to do on my own. You are a fucker here, it would be better for you to fight. With a bouquet of flowers and a black suit, Midoriya declared, I have somewhere to be. I don't give a F you, Midoriya, where are you heading? Iida inquired. Midoriya replied, something personal. Iida bowed and said, I see, then I wish you luck on your endeavor. Thank you Iida. Hey mom. I apologize for not coming in lately. Years. Despite my hectic training schedule, I've improved during those games. Last week, I finished Luigi's Mansion, Super Paper Mario, and Star Fox 64. You most likely don't want to hear about my video game playing, do you not? Okay. I did very well on my midterms. I'm also getting good training from Nezu, Shota, Narumi, Toshi, and Mike. However, I'm primarily training myself. I'm making good use of your power. Additionally, as he produced a black knife with a green line around the handle, Midoriya declared, I have Dad's knife. Nezu gave it to me prior to the students taking the entrance exam. I've been attempting to learn how to use it correctly, and I think I'm progressing fairly well. The majority of the pupils despise me, however, I have faith in one. Abara Shiozaki is her name. She is also beginning to enjoy playing video games. I told her not to remove the first file from the games that contain them, so don't worry. Nothing is worse than having your file erased by a new player. Hee. Sigh. I'm missing you. A lot. As he sat next to the gravestone, gazing at the many sunflowers and Mount Fuji in the distance, Midoriya remarked, and I will find who killed you, and make sure they'll stay in prison forever. You always loved Mother 3. Midoriya said, why else would you choose to be buried in a sunflower field? Before dabbing at his eyes. It's been what, 10 years? Why'd I still cry? It was a good talk, Mom, Midoriya said to himself before getting to his feet. He took a few steps away from the little gravestone and said, I love you, before coming to a halt. I promise I'll talk to you again soon. As he made his way to the 501st, Midoriya thought, transfer from Shibuya to Hosu, then take the 501st to Musutafu. Attention, the 501st is delayed until further notice. As he turned and left the station, Midoriya thought, looks like I'm walking the rest of the way. He opened his phone's GPS app and entered the address of UA, only to discover that it would take a normal person 12 hours to walk that distance. Excellent, taxi at I. Hero killer, it's over, Midoriya thought, that voice. Tensai, as he dashed in the direction of the sound. Shink. GHH. You're not a real hero, you have to be purging. FWIPFWOOSH Shink. An additional one? As Midoriya stood in front of the bleeding Ingenium, the hero killer posed the question. Aizuku. Why are you in this place? Ingenium let out a moan. As Ingenium's eyes widened, Midoriya said, it's May 24th. But that's not important right now. To call Tensai a fake hero is absurd. This is none of your business, kid. Pulling out his father's knife, Midoriya said, Yes it is, this is a family matter. So I'll ask again. To call Tensai a fake hero is absurd. He is a phony who only fights for money, compared to Captain Celebrity, Mount Lady, or even Uwabami. Whose name is Celebrity? Midoriya inquired. We'll take care of them soon enough. I'll kill that phony hero for the time being. Then we're at an impasse. Izuku, leave this place, hurry, Ingenium begged. And let you perish? After saying, I don't like that plan, Midoriya stood prepared and said, now come at me, hero killer Stain. Very well, Stain said, drawing 2 blades, let's go. The hero killer is attacking the boy from the USJ, Kurogiri cried out. As the fight rolled on the screen, Sensei commanded, put it on screen. Midoriya's fighting style was defensive and evasive, whereas Stain's was aggressive and furious. One was calculated and defensive, the other bold and offensive. Every time Stain launches an attack, Midoriya sidesteps it and retaliates. A graceful death dance. Very impressive. But risky. The hero killer's quirk is something I've heard about. If he consumes blood, depending on their blood type, they will be paralyzed for 2 to 8 minutes. But the hero killer has more than enough time to murder them both in that amount of time. Kurogiri. Yes sir. Warp them to these coordinates in 3 minutes at the latest. If the hero killer gets a slash in, then warp them and the hero immediately. Here? Why sir? Inquired Kurogiri. Sensei clarified, it's time to show Tamura who you will have to face. Understood. 3 minutes sir. BZZT. Time to show what you've learned. Clang. Okay, so you know your way around a blade. But why stick your neck out for that hero? It's a hero's job to throw their lives on the line for others. Even other heroes. Ingenium is an outstanding commander who honors the hero code. And one of my many inspirations. Midoriya elaborated. Aizuku. That's why I refuse to let you end his life. Excellent. You sound and fight like a true hero. Nothing held back, now come at me. FWOOSH clang. He's become more enthusiastic. Consequently, as he blocked each swing with a loud clang, Midoriya thought, his speed has quickened. If it gets too near, I can simply take Tensai with me. He must have figured out my attack plan by now, but it would be better to tend to him now. It's time to get creative. Midoriya sidestepped Stain's initial blow. He punched Stain in the face after throwing the knife into the air. GHH, wham left, right, left, right. Stain flinched and is now being attacked by Midoriya. Following his collision with a wall, he drew the knife in his direction and cut him across the chest. Stain shouted, GHH, hey. Not a bad combo, but it's not good enough, as he threw a knife at Midoriya. However, he wanted a dodge, and he grazed his cheek with another throwing knife he kept in his sleeve. Wham! Before hurling Midoriya out of the way of the immobilized Ingenium, Stain said, GHH, and gave him a knee to the stomach. Apologies kid. But this is over, Fuang. Wah! Below the 3 of them, a portal materialized, causing the 3 to fall to an unknown location. Now, for it's time for the final tournament. Fuang! Ah! Slam Midnight yelled, W what the hell? As Ingenium, Stain, and Midoriya collapsed to the ground. Stain mumbled in bewilderment, W what? But Midoriya, who was quick on his feet, ran after him and tackled him away from Ingenium. Focus on the battle, shouted Midoriya, who leapt to his feet and faced Ingenium. Are you okay? As good as I can be. With a hole on my shoulder, and on the ground. Before observing Stain get back up, Midoriya said, if you still have your sad excuse for humor, then you're well enough. But I must admit, he said, reaching for his final knife. I must confess. You're pretty good. Clang clang FWOOSH. B brother? Iida hurried over to the injured Ingenium. Clang clang Midnight muttered, Aizuku? As she prepared to hurry. Clang clang. Midoriya! Exclaimed Shiozaki, hurrying to her companion. Clang slash Stain raised the bloodied knife to his mouth and muttered, but it's game over. Midoriya reached for the knife and muttered, no. Stain snarled, you're not going to take it from me, and gripped the knife more tightly. As the blood flew from the knife and returned to his wound, he uttered, I'm not. After the knife. Getting all of his blood off the knife. You moving to lick your knife, makes it clear to me that your quirk relies on ingesting one's blood to paralyze them, or something along those lines. How long is unclear. But if I know how you activate your quirk, it doesn't matter in this scenario. Midoriya continued, you're going to have to try harder than that, he said, holding his father's knife to his chest, where blood was seeping from the wound. Before he tightened his hold on his knife, Stain exclaimed, "Great! You're a real hero. It hurts that I have to kill you." They exchanged slashes as they rushed at one another. As Midoriya and Stain engaged in a furious knife fight, a loud clang reverberated throughout the stadium, preventing any of the heroes from moving in. "Shota, I'm going after him," Mr. Aizawa replied. "No. He's going to get killed," Mr. Aizawa said. "Let him prove his skills to himself." Present Mike huffed as he sat back down. "All right." As he ran one for all through his hand to knock Stain's hand away, Midoriya thought, "Time to end this." He then swiftly grabbed it and flipped him to the ground. GHH. After Stain had fallen to the ground, Midoriya placed both knees on his wrists, straddled his chest, and held the knife over his neck. "Surrender." Stain dropped his knife and mumbled, "Very well, you've beaten me." Midoriya restrained Stain and made a pair of handcuffs, prior to his eyes expanding. Midoriya yelled, "Tensai," as he hurried over to the injured Ingenium. "Move," he screamed, pushing Kamakiri aside and removing his helmet. Ingenium whispered, "I'm proud of you, Izuku." As he kissed his forehead and allowed his stab wounds to heal, Midoriya whispered, "Shut up and hold still. Consider yourself lucky I found you with only being impaled through the bicep in your right shoulder, and a few slashes. How are you feeling?" "Numbness. In my shoulder. Hospital it is." "Midoriya!" shouted a voice that was familiar. Midoriya looked around to see his classmates staring at him. They observed the entire conflict. Before experiencing a sudden, intense pain in his chest, Midoriya thought, "Right. Forgot about that." And it was shown to the entire world. Recovery Girl screamed, "You idiot! How did you forget a knife wound?" and then struck him in the head. Before a few policemen lifted Stain off the ground, Midoriya mumbled, "Ow." "Oi kid!" exclaimed Stain. "Silence," Midoriya said, getting up to hear what he had to say. "Let him speak." "This world is full of false heroes. But you're one of the few I respect," he continued, "but even after me, this world won't be all butterflies and rainbows. Not yet. Stay on this path, or else I'll have to kill you." While the police removed him, Midoriya remarked, "Well, we wouldn't want that now, won't we? But I don't intend to deviate from my course." MMMWAAH. Recovery Girl gave Midoriya a forehead kiss, mending the battle wound on his chest. Whack before giving him another blow to the head. "Care to explain why you were fighting the hero killer?" she inquired. Midoriya remarked, "I came upon them on my way back from Mom's grave." Recovery Girl drew her cane back. "My instinct was to protect Ingenium. Maybe. I didn't want to see another grave of someone I care about, right after I just returned from visiting one." Recovery Girl let out a slight sigh. "What if you had lost your life? How would anyone else feel?" replied Recovery Girl. "Even before accepting that oaf's power, you still took on so much responsibility. Now you think you have the weight of the world on your shoulders. Remember, you still have myself and the others in your corner." Knowing that oaf, he would have rushed to Hosu to battle Stain himself if you had called. Midoriya remarked, "I'm well aware of that." With a sigh, "I do have the weight of the world on my shoulders. Even if my goal is selfish and fueled with revenge, it's still my goals to succeed all of you. I promised I would. I guess. The reason I took on the hero killer was to prove to myself that I'm not weak. If this is about the USJ, acknowledge that you took down a beast that was as strong as All Might. Even with blowing my arms out, I never said it was perfect. Like that oaf always said, you can learn just as much from a victory as you can a defeat. I learned I wasn't strong enough to counter that Nomu," Recovery Girl remarked, which was on par with the strongest being on the planet. Midoriya glanced downward. ... Anyway, you're free to go. You promised that girl that you would be there to watch her win it all. Remember. ... How did she do? She took fourth on the obstacle course, and first in the cavalry battle. They're taking a 15-minute break to take Stain away, and to do a security sweep. You should go see her. ... Right. ... Midoriya's point of view. I walked out of Recovery Girl's office and looked at the tournament bracket on the large screen. Yaoyorozu is opposed by Tokoyami. Iida opposes Kamakiri. Hiroshima is opposed by Kendo. Shiozaki was opposed by a person named Shinso. Kaminari versus Uraraka on the other side of the bracket. Hatsume is the target of Asui. Sato against Todoroki. Juro versus Bakugo. ... Shiozaki will either get off easier, or a difficult period. There is no doubt that Tokoyami will destroy Yaoyorozu. It's a tie between Iida and Kamakiri. I'm sure Kendo will beat Kirishima, and Shiozaki will get rid of Shinso. Thus, Kendo will stand in her way, followed by Iida, Kamakiri, or Tokoyami. Part of that is true. I turned to look at him and said, Shota. I'm here to deliver news. Iida has left with Tensai to make sure he will be okay. And given he is in need of nerve transplant surgery, he will be. However, someone will have to take Iida's spot. Let me guess. You will take Iida's place, and will battle against Kamakiri. Any particular reason? Principal Nezu approved of your advancement. Due to the fact that he wants you to show off your power. Again, any particular reason? Snipe suggested that if you show off what you're capable of, it could stop the League from attacking us. If they know what you're completely capable of, then they will think twice before attacking us. Shota clarified. His logic has some ground, but that won't stop them from attacking UA. I explained, I know the weapons the League has. While they won't attack us for a while, they will eventually build up an army strong enough to counter me, and as a result, everyone else. Not to mention they got a brief glimpse of my powers from the USJ. They will then know my entire arsenal, and set up counters for it. But, I must admit, I've been waiting for a chance to stretch my legs. Shota remarked, hey, I figured. Good luck, you're going to need it. Before heading to the booth of the commentator. I should tell Shiozaki. No one's point of view. Shiozaki inquired, you will be competing in place of Iida. Yes, Iida left early to make sure Tensai is okay. He will be, just needs nerve transplant surgery. However, Principal Nezu wanted me to take his place, said Midoriya. I see, well that's good. Shiozaki responded, speaking of which, why are you calling Ingenium by his real name? He's my uncle. What? Not biological. He's my uncle because he helped raise me. He continued, most of the staff are like that to me. The majority of employees. I shouldn't inquire. So, does that mean, Shiozaki thought, he could tell me if he wishes. While technically, Iida is my uncle, there's no way I'm going to call him an uncle. Besides, I'm older than him, Midoriya clarified. Shiozaki said, that wasn't what I was going to ask. Oh, I was going to ask, is that we're going to fight eventually? She replied. Midoriya responded, that's why I want you to give it your all. But with your powers you will inevitably. I won't use all of my powers after my first battle. Why you won't? That's about how long I can use them all at once anyway. To be honest, I want to see the look of shock when they see my ultimate form. She inquired, your ultimate form? Midoriya stiffened. Midoriya acknowledged, if I'm being honest, I've been designing it during school. Shining a bright smile, Shiozaki said, well, I look forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to using it. Whoosh. Speaking into the microphone, Present Mike exclaimed, and now the second round is about to begin. Who in hell am I battling? The engine boy has left. Most likely a member of the 5th place squad, Kamakiri thought. Present Mike shouted, and now, a last-minute substitution, from Class 1A. Hold on a minute. Wah. Present Mike exclaimed, Izuku Midoriya. As Midoriya took the stage. As he cracked his knuckles, Kamakiri exclaimed, oh hell yeah. I've been waiting to rip your sorry ass a new one. Midoriya pushed his hair back and muttered, let's just get this over with. Very well. Begin. Kamakiri charged at him, 2 blades emerging from his forearms. Ha. As he slammed his hand onto the ground, turning it green, Midoriya muttered, predictable. Then a massive cement wall appeared out of the ground. Kamakiri shouted, T the hell, as he started to climb and grow smaller blades from his knuckles. When he got to the top, Midoriya gestured to him. Midoriya shouted, now, time to show you, my true power. As he undid his shoes and tied his jacket around his waist, exposing 6 arms. And more sprouting from those arms, each elbow displaying a piston. He was propelled high into the air as air burst from his soles. Soon, horns emerged from his head and his hair became long and spiky. His tongue expanded rapidly, his eyes darkened, and his skin took on a gleaming silver sheen. Green sparks continued to flash all over his body. Ha! His hands exploded from his 6 starting arms, growing enormously and unleashing powerful blows. A huge explosion aimed at the ground was released by one, followed by a fire burst by another, an ice wave, one covered in scales, one that emitted electricity, and the final one that emitted acid. The debris from the explosion was soon levitated up to him and flew into his hand as all of the hands began spinning quickly. Before he let them fall, they circled him and grew in size instantly. And the finishing touch, blades shooting out of his arms without hands. It was truly inspirational, and horrifying. Gazing at the collection of quirks on Midoriya's body, Kamakiri exclaimed, what the hell? The primary purpose of this form is intimidation. Finally, use. But considering that I'm using, at once, 29 quirks. This is the first time I've used the backlash form effectively, and it's hard on my head to use all of these quirks. But, one block, is all I need. God damn it, I fucking surrender. As he dropped to the ground, Midoriya thought, not what I expected. The sharp pain in his head made him wince. You have so many powers including my own. You have a copy quirk, like that prick Monoma. Kamakiri said, you may outclass me now, but I will kick your ass. You'll see, he roared, before rushing away. That was taken by him. Better than I had anticipated. However, after thinking, I've won, and I have to face Tokoyami next round, Midoriya turned to face the viewing booth for Class 1A, and a glaring boy with 2 different colors as well as one irate blonde. It would probably be best to avoid going up there. And now, time for the next match. Yes, Shiozaki's match is underway. I ought to go observe, Midoriya thought, while he considered his options. The viewing booth for Class 1A is not the best idea, he thought as he saw an irate Bakugo and thought, 1B's booth, somehow, is even worse. He also saw a sneering Monoma next to Bakugo. I suppose I'll have to. What? Shiozaki is walking towards the edge. And she looks dazed, folks. Midoriya shouted to himself, 1A's booth it is. As he hurried to the viewing booth, drawing everyone's attention to Bakugo in particular. You bastard. FWIP. Midoriya grabbed Bakugo's face and threw him onto Kirishima, saying, I need silence. Midoriya produced a notebook and a pen before Bakugo could respond. After writing something, he tore the page and folded it into a lovely paper airplane. What are you doing, Midoriya? Whoosh. Targeting Shiozaki's head, Midoriya threw the plane. He said, as the plane began to plummet toward Shiozaki, I'm using homing. She's going to step off. Press. Ha. Incredible. Shiozaki snapped out of her trance. Mr. Aizawa questioned Shiozaki as he unfolded the paper airplane. What's that? Here's one of your favors, but watch out for his quirk. The note read, I am Shiozaki. Could you continue? I don't think. Shinso said, hey, that's unfair. Tap whoosh. As Midoriya landed in front of Shinso, he asked, then would you like a rematch? Or do you realize wherein lies the problem with your logic about the sports festival? What? That after you beat Shiozaki and Kendo, you will have to face me. I'm well aware of your plan to get into the hero course by winning the sports festival. You won't beat me, not in your lifetime. Oh yeah, what makes you so sure? Whish. Because I would erase your quirk before we stepped on stage. You would be quirkless, and I would eliminate you in one punch. Because you have a god-tier quirk. So what? Midoriya exploded. A hero should face any adversity, even if they fight a god, they'll have to fight and win. Even if I just used erasure, you wouldn't beat me because you have no muscle, no strength, and no knowledge of martial arts. You're over-reliant on your power and haven't made any strides to improve other skills. Even if you plan work to the letter, you wouldn't last 15 seconds in the hero course. You would be beaten and sent back to the general course to try again next year. Because unlike Snipe, Aizawa won't be merciful. He never has and never will be. Muttering, but by all means, ask for a rematch. I'm sure Shiozaki will fall for that same trick again. Fucking. Fine, Shinso murmured, but I'll be back, and I will take your spot specifically. There is a grudge against him. Before Midnight raised her whip, Midoriya thought, good. Shinso Hitoshi has bowed out of the tournament. Abara Shiozaki advances. No one applauded. Shiozaki, who was a little upset that he had assisted her, questioned, "Why did you intervene, Midoriya?" Midoriya answered, "Because I didn't want you to lose by a technicality. It's his quirk, a quirk he solely relied on. It'd be different if he could win through other methods, but his quirk was easier, then I would have let him beat you." But judging by how he was exceedingly upset by that fact and made a big fuss over it, confirmed it for me that he only relied on his power. "You couldn't have known that." Midoriya paused as she asked, "Then why did he just give up? If he had other methods of winning, he would have taken the rematch and won another way. Instead he bowed out. But what do you have to gain from doing that? He's going to be after you. He has a chip on his shoulder, and his power will be useful, I'll admit." Midoriya continued, "But he needs to improve physically before he can even have a chance to beat me. But that's enough on the topic. Besides, if you wish to prove yourself, Kirishima is out of bounds. Itsuka Kendo is the winner." Before his phone buzzed, Midoriya said, "You have a good opportunity to do so. Shota, we must speak. But first, Mr. Aizawa needs to talk to me." As Midoriya entered the spectators' booth and Smintos reconstructed the stage, Aizawa exclaimed, "Izuku." Midoriya answered, "Shota, you interrupted a battle. Needless to say, numerous people are demanding your removal. How many of them are students? 80%. Accurate. So, I'm going to ignore them. But we still have the 20%, who are pro-heroes. They think that you're interrupting due to favoritism. They're not wrong in their thought process. But we can't let them know that. So Midnight is going to enforce a rule. You are only allowed to use the quirk of your opponent." Midoriya inquired, "And if I fight Sato or Hatsume?" "Hatsume is most likely going to bow out after showing off her gear. Sato, I have no confidence he's going to beat both Bakugo and Todoroki. He could beat them if he only faced one, but both. Not going to happen. Poor Sato. All right, I have no say in the matter," Midoriya thought to himself. Aizawa waved Midnight away after saying, "I shall inform Midnight of your decision." After giving a nod, Midoriya left the spectators' booth. He made the decision to reflect. "I'm going to fight Tokoyami next." As he felt the whole stadium rumble, Midoriya thought, "And since I broke the rules, I'm only allowed to use the quirks of my opponents." Rikido Sato is unable to continue. Shoto Todoroki is the winner. Todoroki doesn't seem to be playing around. Furthermore, Jiro cannot withstand Bakugo's deafening explosions for a minute. Thus, he thought, my match will begin in a few minutes, prior to letting out a sigh. I should head on down. FWOOSH. As the audience erupted in cheers, Present Mike exclaimed, "And now? It's time for the start of the second round. We have the man of many talents. Izuku Midoriya, and the Dark Crow of the Night. Fumikage Tokoyami. Cheers, but no cheers." Midoriya muttered to himself, "It seems like I'm the festival's antagonist. People are really annoying. Ready, Dark Midoriya?" he asked, before his shadow came to life. "Hell yeah," he exclaimed excitedly. Tokoyami's eyes grew wide. "Why, you have been controlled by the darkness as well?" "Not particularly," Midoriya responded. "I merely adopted the darkness. Turned it into an ally." As his dark shadow materialized, Tokoyami muttered, "I see. Let's see whose connection is stronger." "What's up, my man?" said the dark shadow of Tokoyami. "Not much. Had a great sleep since this fool didn't call upon me. His mind is like a massive library with a nice fireplace den," replied Dark Midoriya. "Wow, much like this one, but much more emo." "Same." Midoriya pinched the bridge of his nose and muttered, "We're supposed to be fighting here." Dark Midoriya murmured, "May the best shadow win." "Oh right. Hell yeah, man. Begin," mumbled Midnight. "All right. Dark Shadow," commanded Tokoyami. "I'm on it." Dark Midoriya. As Dark Midoriya hurried towards Dark Shadow and their shadowy fists collided, he muttered, "Easy. To your right, Dark Shadow." Wham! Ga! Fumi. As he ensured that Dark Shadow did not help Tokoyami, Dark Midoriya yelled, "Your focus is with me," and left Midoriya to beat Tokoyami. Midoriya screamed, "You talk about connection, but it seems Dark Shadow is the only one making progress." With a kick to Tokoyami's chin that sent him reeling back, Tokoyami mumbled, "GHH," as he fought to stand up. As he threw Tokoyami backwards, just an inch from out of bounds, Midoriya screamed, my power doesn't make a carbon copy of your quirks, it gives me your powers at its weakest stage. It's up to me to catch them up to your levels, but I make up for it by using other skills. Like close combat. So powerful. Midoriya loomed over him and said, but my power is weaker than yours, Tokoyami. How is it that I'm more powerful? ... Tokoyami whispered, why you have access to more techniques. Correct. I have more options, and I'm not talking about quirks. Midoriya responded, prior to tapping Tokoyami on the forehead, you rely on your quirk too much. Darkness is meant to be your ally, not the other way around. You ignored the importance of close combat and focused on keeping your opponents at a distance. That could work in most circumstances, but in occasions where the enemies are faster than your Dark Shadow, or where they exploit your weakness, you won't be able to rely on Dark Shadow, and instead on yourself. As he went out of bounds, Tokoyami muttered, I see. As Midoriya assisted Tokoyami in getting up, Midnight shouted, Fumikage Tokoyami is out of bounds. Izuku Midoriya is the winner. Out of everyone in our class, you're the first one whose quirk I've copied. Midoriya continued, because your quirk is the one I believe will be the most powerful in our class. Tokoyami muttered, you overestimate my abilities. It's just my opinion after all. However, you should work on your physical abilities. Midoriya continued, before turning around. Before you lose to me again, don't you dare lose to anyone else. As Midoriya passed through the tunnel, Tokoyami observed, before examining his hand. Quote ... Yes sir. ... Kirishima said, Tokoyami you okay man? Kaminari answered, you got kicked pretty hard out there. Before taking out his phone, Tokoyami muttered, it was a learning experience. Quote ... Dojos? Inquired Kirishima. Midoriya opened my eyes to the truth. I'm incomplete. Darkness was supposed to be my ally, instead I'm an ally of the darkness. I must change that, if I wish to be a hero. Tokoyami murmured, of all the people in our class, the first person whose quirk I have imitated is you. Before I defeat you once more, don't you dare lose to anyone else. He kept thinking about those words. I promise not to disappoint you. ... Shiozaki triumphed over Kendo. In other words, I oppose her. Uraraka lost to Asui. ... However, that is irrelevant. Todoroki and Bakugo are important. As far as I could tell, they both want to battle me. Bakugo wants to show that he can defeat me, so he wants to fight me, despite the quantity of quirks I possess. Ineffective, but to each his own. In contrast, Todoroki will want to punish me for using his special ability. Why? I'm not sure. As he headed to the 1A viewing booth, Midoriya thought, in any case, they'll both be giving it their all to fight me. It should be okay for me to go to the 1A viewing booth since they're both gone. ... How mistaken he was. Mineta yelled, what the hell Midoriya? Why do you have all of our quirks? I see no reason as to why it should bother you. Midoriya murmured, I saw quirks that would work in my arsenal, so I copied them. But, you're annoying. Midoriya grumbled, the two loudest people aren't here, and yet you're more than willing to supplement that. Kaminari began, no need to be a dick, but was interrupted by Midoriya. It's not being a dick, it's wanting to be left alone. Something all of you seem to ignore. Oh, and a quick word of advice. Midoriya stated to Hagakure, if you're going to insult me behind my back, do a better job of it. I don't care what you, or any of you think of me. By all means, say what you want. But acknowledge, that I will sprint and won't look back. It would be smart for you all to do the same. Midoriya murmured, while he produced a handheld. I lost interest in the battle. ... It was quiet and tense. Bakugo is giving Todoroki a scowl. Todoroki was staring at him indifferently. The irate blonde is not his aim. He intended to eradicate Midoriya from the earth. He thought angrily, how dare he use my power like that? With his hands exploding, Bakugo snarled, I don't care what your bullshit is. Use your fire. I will beat the damned nerd and you with your full power. You're wrong on both statements. Bakugo became even more enraged when he declared, I will beat you and Midoriya, with my ice. So you're fucking saying that I'm not worth your fire? Bakugo exploded, fine, what the fuck ever. You're not the most powerful one here, not by a long shot. Do whatever the fuck you want. I will kill you and that damned nerd. Begin, shouted Midnight, Bakugo unleashed a tremendous explosion to completely destroy the enormous ice wave that Todoroki had used to start the match. I must prove that he imitated my quirk. He is a dirty copy of me, and I am the original. It's not nearly as strong as mine. Whoosh. GHH. Damn it. Letting off massive explosions hurts my arms. I thought I moved past this weakness. Damn it. Todoroki, unfazed, sent another ice wave at Bakugo, only to be blasted away once more. Ignoring his rapidly declining body temperature, Todoroki thought, he's destroying my ice waves, but how long can he keep this going? And released another ice wave, only to have it destroyed once more. Midoriya whispered, they will destroy themselves at this rate. What are you saying? Tokoyami inquired. Midoriya retorted, they're both very arrogant. They want to fight me and show that they're better because they despise the fact that I have their abilities. Before stopping the game and setting up a whiteboard and a whiteboard marker, he said, quirks are physical abilities, and while theirs are one of the best in the class, they are hell on their bodies, speaking from personal experience. He then listed their weaknesses, beginning with Bakugo's. Even if they have to break themselves. His hands and arms hurt from the shock and backlash if he uses large explosions. Additionally, it starts to wear him down after frequent use. Then there is Todoroki's. From an analytical perspective, his quirk is unfailing. But only if he makes good use of it. He isn't. He's hypothermizing himself because he's only using his ice side. It goes without saying that. Snap. He's a huge idiot, Midoriya said. He's crippling himself by using half of his quirk. It goes without saying. Observing the current state of affairs, Bakugo will prevail. But you can't be certain. Midoriya's purple, robotic-looking eye said, I am. I'm positive that's how it will happen, he said, glancing at Yaoyorozu. Bakugo will defeat Asui, and Todoroki will lose. Before turning back to his game, he clarified, it will be him versus Shiozaki in the finals. Bakugo advances to the semifinals after Todoroki was ultimately defeated and overpowered, as Midoriya had predicted. As Midoriya entered the stage with Shiozaki standing there, he thought, it's time. Myself against Shiozaki. And then, Bakugo. Midoriya, Shiozaki said, with Midoriya standing on his side of the stage, I think you helped me get forward, but I'll use my own strength to defeat you. Midoriya turned his hair into vines and said, I wouldn't have it any other way. Midnight lifted her whip into the air. Start. Shiozaki wasted no time in sending vines in Midoriya's direction, but Midoriya grabbed one, tore it off his scalp, and swung it at a stadium light, causing it to shrink and lifting Midoriya out of the way of the vines. What? As he landed behind her, Shiozaki inquired. Your vines are under your control. Even after your hair has been chopped off, turning it into a respectable weapon. Whack. Oh, she turned to face Midoriya and yelled. I learned how to use Kamui Woods' power as a means of transportation from watching him. Since, after all, Midoriya responded, your quirk was on the most important to train rank. Only Shiozaki was ready, and she shifted the vines to be in front of her to block Midoriya's attack with his vine whip. She grunted and unleashed her vines at him once more, while Midoriya dodged in the same manner as before. Impress. Whack. As he observed Shiozaki holding a vine in her hand, Midoriya remarked, very impressive. I only said what I did, and you've already executed it. I guess I'll have to give you some serious attention. Shiozaki launched a huge vine attack on Midoriya, but he used his own vines to block it. Haha. As he jumped off his vine shield and threw the vine at Shiozaki, Midoriya shouted, and she grabbed it with one of her vines. However, it was too late. Midoriya retracted the vine that she had used as a shield and attacked her with it, just as she had done before. She made the grave error of letting go of the vine in order to use all of her vines as a shield. Midoriya tore a vine off his scalp and threw it at her. The instant it hit her stomach, it wrapped around her entire body. She fought to get out of the vine prison, before realizing that she was immobile. Abara Shiozaki can't go any further. Izuku Midoriya makes it to the championship game. You've done well, said Midoriya, whose vines vanished from the battlefield, leaving him with two tiny patches of baldness on his head. This day has taught you something, even if you lost. In the entire tournament, only one other person has, Midoriya muttered. Shiozaki bowed to Midoriya after glancing at the lone vine in her hands and muttering, a new realm of possibilities have opened up to me. Thank you for showing me this. Don't think twice about it. Bakugo is glaring at him angrily as Midoriya muttered, "It's likely that you would have figured this out eventually. He is the only obstacle in my path." After a 5-minute break, the sports festival grand finals between Bakugo and Midoriya have arrived. Asui was quickly eliminated. "I don't care what your power is. You had better bring that form of yours to me." "It's not that simple," Midoriya retorted. "I'll be disqualified if I use that form. It appears that my interference in Shiozaki's battle against Shinso upset a lot of people. Grr, you fight me with everything you have, and it doesn't fucking matter." With a tiny pop coming out of his hands, Midoriya responded, "Then we're at an impasse. I'm stuck with fighting you with explosion. Nothing will alter that." Fucking good. As he released tiny explosions as well, Bakugo growled, "Don't blame me for what happens. Limit yourself like that useless fuck Todoroki did." Start. Without any delay, Bakugo launched himself in the direction of Midoriya, saying, "Now D." As he ducked Bakugo's attack and punched him in the stomach, Midoriya thought, "Right hook. Oh, now, strike." After Midoriya finished his attack, Bakugo flew back. How did you call that?" Midoriya rushed at the stunned Bakugo, launching punch after punch and kick after kick. Bakugo struggled to straighten up and growled. While the others may not have noticed, Midoriya clarified, "I watched your battle against Iida and Kirishima, and you always open up with a right hook. Changing your fighting style would probably be the best course of action." "Fuck you," Bakugo shouted as he raced back toward Midoriya. As he punched forward, sending Bakugo flying over him, Midoriya thought, "Feint. Then punch." Wham! Bakugo was thrown to the ground by Midoriya's punch, and after rolling around a bit, he was standing at the arena's edge. "Oh no, you're not even using my quirk," he yelled angrily. "Are you sneering at me?" Bakugo became even more irate when Midoriya failed to respond. "All right, then I'll have to use an attack I've been practicing to kill you." With a shout, Bakugo jumped into the air and rotated himself quickly using explosions, engulfing himself in a black smoke tornado. Looks powerful, but looks easy to do, but then he realized, the spectators. Bakugo is in too much mass hysteria to realize that there is nothing to block that explosion from reaching the spectators. If I dodge, then they would take the front of the attack. If I stay put, then I will be blasted. Midoriya thought, "You'll get over this soon," before he realized what he must do. Before unleashing erasure on Bakugo, Midoriya muttered, "Bakugo." His momentum plummeted as he lost it, and he fell to the ground. What on earth? Had I escaped that assault? I had to use erasure to make sure that didn't happen. You would have used it and probably hurt the spectators, Midoriya said. Bakugo's eyes widened as Midoriya clarified, "Even if it meant I lost." Midoriya Izuku, what? Has violated the rules for a second time. What? Katsuki Bakugo is the winner as a result. What? All Might presented the medal ceremony, passing the medals to Shiozaki and Asui before holding his silver medal in front of Midoriya. Young Midoriya, before putting the medal around his neck and embracing him, he said, "Congratulations. You did a great job thwarting Bakugo's attack." He gave Bakugo his gold medal, hugged him, and said, "It's okay to be competitive, but be wary of your actions, young Bakugo, even if it meant losing the final." He remained silent. Following an awkward exchange between All Might and the audience, the students were given a 2-day break to rest and review the draft forms upon their return. Following this, they were permitted to return to their dorms. "Hey, nerd," Bakugo shouted. "What is it?" Snap. Bakugo threw the gold medal in Midoriya's face and violently removed the silver one from around his neck. "To protect those extras in the stands, you halted my attack, despite the fact that you lost the gold. You would have beaten me if that hadn't occurred and those people didn't exist," he growled angrily, "but don't think I won't beat you. You're damn closer, so keep that medal safe." With a litany of profanities escaping his lips, he shouted and turned to leave. After a few blinks, Midoriya glanced at his medal and muttered, "He has an affinity to the word, damn." Then he touched the gold medal. "I'll wait for his challenge, though. I might be able to gather some items for explosion." Creak creak. As he left the shower room, a towel wrapped around his waist and another in his hair, Midoriya thought to himself, "I'm so glad the others left to celebrate the sports festival. I have the entire dorm to myself. Finally some peace and quiet. Perhaps I ought to pull out my games." Slam. High hero course. As she strode inside, a girl with pink hair exclaimed, "And there's THEO. It looks like I'll have to." extend some areas. At that statement, Midoriya arched an eyebrow, but as he looked down, he saw that the force of the slam had blown the towel around his waist clean off. Midoriya quickly picked it up and wrapped it around his waist once more, asking, "What are you doing here?" Midoriya's eyes widened and she asked, "You're right, I'm Mei Hatsume, an exceptional support designer. And I'm here to utilize your awesome quirk and your sudden fame to my advantage," Hatsume cried as he approached Midoriya. As Hatsume approached, Midoriya thought, "She's blunt, I'll give her that. I'll be the center of attention if we work together and you use my equipment in your arsenal. Closer, everyone will be watching you, curious to see what the 20 billion quirk Wonder Boy and the stain-defeating hero will do next. Even closer, that means CEOs of big support companies will see my adorable babies." She was just inches from his face when she said, "This is the best way for me and my amazing devices to advance in their glory, according to that line of thinking. ... So you want to develop equipment for me, and as a result you will benefit from the spotlight." Midoriya summed up. "Yes, how can I determine your level of efficiency? With their resources and experience, a third-year student could undoubtedly work more quickly. Don't underestimate her Izuku." As Power Loader entered, Midoriya said, "Power Loader. It still bothers me that you don't use my real name like some of the others. I would call Mike Hazashi, if that's the case." Midoriya retorted, "Anyway, what's this about underestimating her? It's just easier to say. ... Despite my aversion to admitting it, she is the most intelligent student I have, and she doesn't fear failure like most support designers do. Even if it means blowing up half the support room if it fails. That doesn't make me feel any less anxious," Midoriya thought. "She might create something for you that suits you, particularly since you haven't yet made a costume." "Are you without a costume?" Hatsume inquired. "I didn't see an A. We're currently resolving that. Adhere to me, Big Dick Nick. Let me put on some clothes first, and don't call me that." As he was pulled from the hero dorms, Midoriya screamed. Before Power Loader went up to Midoriya's room to get him a new outfit, he thought, "I don't even want to know why she calls him that. Better to give him this now, before someone sees something they didn't want to. ... Okay, so I think we should give you a regenerating cloth for your arms. When you switch you'll need the extra protection once your arms disappear." Hatsume replied. "Aha." Midoriya nodded, slowly reaching for the clothing Power Loader had left for him. "Almost," he said. "Well, however, how will your tail function? I might be able to make it easily rip open and regenerate." "Closer. In order to reduce the strain of explosion and to puncture your wrists for blood control, you also require braces. Show me your wrists, please." As she separated his wrists from his clothing to take measurements, Hatsume screamed. As Hatsume released his grip on Midoriya's wrists, he thought in defeat. "So close. I now have to measure your entire body. Bagginess isn't a benefit, after all. I'll go to Recovery Girl to get my measurements," Midoriya said, before getting to his feet. "That's where I draw the line. I'll bring them back after that. You've already seen enough." Captain I." As Midoriya picked up his clothes and left, Hatsume yelled. ... I wonder how Shiozaki is doing. This is not how I wanted to spend my Saturday. ... Kendo remarked, "I see you've been spending time with Midoriya." "Well, why did you say that?" Shiozaki inquired. "The fact that you're gazing into a gaming store with contemplation," Yanagi continued. Shiozaki mumbled, a little ashamed, Oh, I apologize. I was just looking for something." "What?" Komori inquired. ... Shiozaki acknowledged, "I have been playing a game, but I'm not sure where it is." "A guide. Some of the things are." "What items?" Tsunotori inquired. "All right, each level has 5 of these yarn bundles. You can play as a new character if you gather them all. Additionally, if you gather every one of these yarn flowers in a world, you will be able to access a difficult level." "You are becoming a nerd because of Midoriya," Tokage cried out. "What is the matter with that?" Shiozaki inquired. ... In response, Tokage said, "Nothing at all. Moving on, there is another game I'm interested in playing, so another guide will help." Kodai looked at her phone and said, "Well, whatever you want, make it quick. The movie starts in 15 minutes. ... They can wait. ... Recovery Girl whispered, "So let me get this straight. That Hatsume girl stumbled upon you coming out of the shower wearing only a towel. Saw it, and slammed the door so hard that the towel flew off. After she asked for your measurements, you decided that now was the best time to leave and come to me. She then dragged you, still in a towel, into the busy support dorms to discuss a hero costume. I might add that it's still in a towel. Wham! Ow. All right. Try to remain motionless so I can take your measurements, recovery girl instructed. Cold. As he knocked on Hatsume's door, Midoriya muttered to himself, sterile hands. Iida the large man himself. Midoriya begged, please stop making those jokes. No, since I never bothered to keep your name in mind. Hatsume yelled as Midoriya's eyes began to move. Before he sighed, he thought, this woman, Izuku Midoriya. Hatsume. I'm already aware of that. Gimme now. She pleaded before snatching the measurements. Alright. I can begin planning now that the logistics have been resolved. It's going to be fantastic, she shouted. Now, I'll tell you the advancements when I can. Before shoving Midoriya in the direction of the door. Hold on, shouldn't I be aware of your actions? You'll soon, so go ahead and do it, Hatsume shouted as she pushed him out of her room and then held out her hand to him. My marketing campaign is you. Therefore, we might as well declare it. My zoom quirk gives me crosshair irises, which enables me to zoom in up to 5 kilometers. If I may say so myself, it's quite helpful. Are you permitting me to imitate your quirk? Obviously, come on, big man. Avoid. As he shook her hand, Midoriya said, I'll overlook it this one time. All right. Midoriya used zoom after turning around and looking toward the end of the hallway, but he flinched and rubbed his eyes, saying, tunnel vision. That's how it was when I started out. Hatsume continued. I honed it to be able to see better with zoom, even if it is a little blurry. Midoriya concluded by saying, so I'll have to train it. Yes. Hatsume answered. Well, I have to finish your suit, so goodbye. Hold slam. Before zooming in on the end of the hallway once more, Midoriya muttered to himself, this woman. Quirk number 48. I can only accommodate 2 more. I beat almost all of the N64 titles, the only one I'm missing is. Midoriya said, deciding to go up to his room to start working on his video game collection after realizing his Saturday was being wasted. Brr. With a chill down his back, Midoriya muttered, Donkey Kong 64. Mom had a hard time with that game because some of the later minigames were so awkward. Before opening his dorm door, Midoriya said, you'd better get started right away. Very near, only to find Shiozaki back in his room, still escaping the plant monster, playing Yoshi's Woolly World. Of course she's playing again. Midoriya thought, then used zoom to examine the book she was holding next to her. A guide? So she's changing from a casual to a completionist. Good luck. Midoriya thought, then shut the door again. Knowing her, she'll play into the night and crash immediately, he thought, then went back down the stairs. Later, I'll tidy up her mess. Bu dododo budodo dododo budodo budodo dodo do do. Click. As Shiozaki sat up from Midoriya's bed, she muttered, good morning, Lore, not again. Everything's clean again. He probably came in and let me sleep in here again. Shiozaki left Midoriya's room, picked up a new outfit, and quickly showered before Midoriya set a bowl of porridge down and said, good morning. As she started to eat her porridge, Shiozaki said, good morning, and thank you for the porridge, and letting me stay in your room, once more. Don't give it a second thought. Midoriya replied, but if you wanted a guide, I have plenty in my room. Shiozaki muttered, beginning to feel guilty about purchasing those useless guides. I should have figured as much. I should give you a backup key at this rate. You can practically use my room now. Peeved. Hee, what's so amusing? And nothing. You didn't strike me as humorous. Her laugh is so lovely. Well, Midoriya, are you alright? You appear somewhat flushed. It's nothing. Midoriya waved goodbye, but I wasn't kidding. At this point, I should have Shota make you a key for my room. Are you certain? You've slept in there longer than I have, that's for sure. Midoriya responded, at this rate it's for the best. He has a point. Normally we wouldn't allow students of opposite sex to share a room, Shiozaki said, as Aizawa moved in next to Midoriya. But since Midoriya sleeps in the sofas every time you sleep in there, it would be best to just give you a key when you start having late-night gaming sessions. He handed Shiozaki a key, but pulled it back when she reached for it. As Vlad King entered the discussion, he said, but acknowledge this. This is a reward for getting a perfect 100 on the midterms. If we notice even a small decline in your combat exercise productivity and grades, you will not be allowed to play video games after we take away your key, you get it? Why yes, sirs. Shiozaki cried out. Aizawa handed her the key and said, then enjoy. Then she and Vlad King left. Midoriya shrugged and walked to the door, saying, well, that settles that. Where are you heading? I'm training my new quirk. Oh no. Hatsume stated that her limit was 5 kilometers, Midoriya said with a grunt and then blinked several times. But when she zooms in, she sees tunnel vision. That wouldn't be an issue for Hatsume because she would only need it to identify specific areas that require fine-tuning and adjustment. But I can combine this with search. Additionally, search functions similarly to marking someone in Metal Gear Solid. Or any game I've played that involves stealth shooting. In essence, I can mark 100 individuals to determine their current location. Zoom and search will work well together for recon. But as I train it, the tunnel vision improves, as Hatsume mentioned. Additionally, since Shota prevented me from accessing Training Ground Alpha before focusing on random objects to train his quirk, Midoriya muttered, I'll have to train this on my own to catch it up with the others. Until his eyes began to ache and he made the decision to take a brief rest. I can accommodate 2 more quirks. Additionally, I can exchange 1 quirk for another if I want one. Whose quirk should I imitate, though, or more specifically, who is willing to allow me to copy it? Hatsume's quirks and those from the hero course are both present in my class. I could adopt the quirk of Shinso. No, I was too busy to collect information about his quirk. If Shiozaki's actions had anything to do with mind control, it has something to do with that. Something like that sounds like a god-tier quirk. But how is that quirk going to affect my thoughts? I must obviously keep the person I'm controlling under control. In addition, I'm clueless as to how it's triggered. Feel. Do you know their name? A magic word? Only Shinso and possibly Shiozaki will be aware of it. In any case, I should ask Shiozaki if she knows anything about Shinso's quirk, Midoriya said with a sigh before getting to her feet. If she doesn't, then I'll have to give it up for the time being. Shiozaki said, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure what set off his quirk. It appears that she would have lost again if Shinso had accepted the rematch, but there's no use worrying about that right now, Midoriya remarked, before letting out a sigh. It's not the end of the world. Although mind control would have been helpful, by the time I had fully developed my abilities, I could have made them even more potent. I can simply use brute force to win fights. Shiozaki cautioned, you have many quirks, but as you've said, using them all will hurt you. You shouldn't overestimate your abilities, particularly that shape of yours. I'm well aware of my limitations. I felt that I needed to remind you. All right, she has cheated on us for the 3rd consecutive sleepover. If it's the last thing I do, I'm going to march over there and gently drag her here, Ashido cried. We should respect her Rizo. Slam, and Kendo muttered, she's gone, and got up to follow her, with the others doing the same. She must be in Midoriya's room if she isn't present, Ashido yelled, and then stopped directly in front of his door. Hey, what is? Incorrect. Komori released his breath. I don't want to bust in. It appears that you're afraid of developing a bald spot once more. Juru made fun of this, which caused Ashido to pout. Ashido challenged, well, be my guest. Juru opened the door and stuck out her tongue. Get that flower. Got it. The girls watched the scene for a few more seconds, then walked back and slowly closed the door, the 2 of them huddled under the same blanket, playing the level Shiozaki had been stuck on for days. Geeks who play video games? Ashido inquired in jest. Gamer nerds. Clock. Looking to his right, at 2:21, Midoriya asked himself, NGGH, what time is it? Clock, Midoriya complained. Who could be knocking at this hour? Before he dragged himself from bed and opened the door to see Tenya Iida. Midoriya. With a hint of irritation, Midoriya said, Iida, do you have any idea what time it is? It's currently 2:22, but I need to talk to you. Whatever it is, can't it wait till morning? It's about my brother. Fine, let's go downstairs. After brewing tea for a few minutes, they sat opposite one another. So what did you wish to talk about? I wish to thank you for saving my brother, Iida responded. I would also like you to know that the surgery was a complete success. He will make a full recovery in 3 weeks' time. As Midoriya sipped his hot mug of tea, he thought, that's good. But why did you save him? You had no reason to. After taking a deep breath, Midoriya said, your brother is my uncle. It was by chance that I found him, but that's not the answer you're looking for. Pardon? I'm willing to explain, but it's a long story. This is your final warning, if you want to hear it tomorrow morning. I don't need sleep. Midoriya said, remember, I gave you an out, before inhaling deeply. It happened almost 10 years ago. Rewind. All Might questioned, what happened? After noticing a small child sobbing and holding a pink sweater. Principal Nezu clarified, you may know her as Hinawa, formerly Kumatora, his mother was killed. All Might asked, do you know who did it? As his eyes briefly widened before closing once more. The killer fled the scene before we could identify him. Eraserhead continued, judging by the damage to her body, and the buildings around her. They must have been strong. The kid didn't recognize him either. Only saying he was black and evil. So we have no leads as to his mother's killer? All Might swore. Shit. Not at this moment. Nezu replied before grabbing a knife. We also found this, during the investigation. Hinawa didn't utilize knives in combat, preferred punching, as her original persona. Kumatora did in Mother 3. We assume this knife belonged to his father. His father? Inquired Eraserhead. Hisashi Midoriya. He is nowhere to be found at the moment. All Might, do you think he did it? If he did, then he wouldn't leave such an obvious clue lying around. And besides, his confirmed quirk is flame breath, so it couldn't be him. Regardless, what do we do with the boy? All Might inquired. Nezu showed them the note with the tiny bloodstain on it and said, Inko asked if I could take care of him. And Nezu said, I will. You're well aware that he will go after his mother's killer, right? Of course I'm well aware of that fact. Nezu responded, but we should let him do it legally. Eraserhead said, I hope you know what you are doing. Principal Nezu let out a sigh. Of course I do. What? It's true. Midoriya reiterated, my mother was killed when I was 5. All I have as mementos are her sweater, and the knife that belonged to my father. And Shota was 100% right. I am after my mother's killer. Why you are? Yes, but I'd be lying if I said I knew who it was. Midoriya continued, it was nighttime, and the villain was black and massive, so I couldn't ID him. Nor was there any news articles about a villain like that. Seemed they were after my mother and no one else, or she wounded them and forced them into hiding to heal. Regardless, that's where I'm at right now. But what does this have to do with my brother? Principal Nezu took my in. Guess who was interning there around that time? My brother. Right, he was there working under the former 1A homeroom teacher. You may know him as the current number 10 hero, Yoroi Musha. But surely you knew that already. Principal Nezu trusted him and 3 others to take care of me, the other 3 being Midnight, Present Mike, and Eraserhead. You're kidding. Before he finished his tea, Midoriya muttered, believe me, I wish I was. So that's my story. I would appreciate it if this stayed between us. He explained that, soon over time, I was trained by our current teachers, starting from Nezu, ending with Hound Dog. Oh, of course. As he ascended the stairs, Midoriya said, then good night. Iida was unsure of how to react to everything. Aizawa said, time to pick your hero identities. This is gonna be totally awesome. Fwish, shish. The class mumbled as Aizawa turned off his quirk. This is related to the pro hero draft picks that I mentioned the last time we were in class together. Normally, students don't have to worry about the draft yet. Not until their 2nd or 3rd year actually, but your class is different. In fact, by extending offers to first years like you, pros are essentially investing in your potential. Any offers can be rescinded if their interest in you dies down before graduation, though. Slam. Mineta mumbled, stupid, selfish adults. So what you're saying is, we'll still have to prove ourselves after we've gotten recruited. Hagakuri made the point. Correct. Now, here are the totals for those of you who got offers. Blip, 7,021 in Midoriya. Todoroki, 4,123. Bakugo, 3,556. 361 Tokoyami. Iida, 301. Kaminari, 272. Yaoyorozu, 108. Kirishima, 68. Uraraka, 20. 0. 14. In past years, it's been more spread out. But there's a pretty big gap here. Kaminari moaned, that's an understatement. S7000. It's most likely because I can use my power for support, attack, and defense. Midoriya thought, but refrained from saying aloud, so anyone can pick me up and I won't be out of place. Jiro questioned. Todoroki got more than Bakugo. Kirishima replied, yeah, he beat him in the second round, and won the sports festival. They probably don't want to work with the guy who only won because his attack would have killed half of the stadium. Hadn't Midoriya stopped him, it wouldn't have ended well, Asui said. Bakugo snarled, but remained silent. After letting out a sigh, Yaoyorozu turned to face Todoroki and said, that's amazing. You must be proud. Todoroki scowled and turned away. Shaking Iida from side to side, Uraraka yelled, ah, people want us, chi tahaha. Regaining the students' attention, Aizawa stated, you'll all be interning with pros. Got it, even those of you who didn't get any offers. Despite these results. Ashido inquired, so we're all interning? Yes, it will be helpful to see pros at work. Up close and personal, on the field. First hand. Sato said, and for that we need hero names. All of a sudden, things are becoming much more enjoyable. Uraraka cried. These hero names will likely be temporary, but take them seriously or slam. As the majority of the boys gasped, a seductive voice exclaimed, you'd better be careful, or you'll be stuck with something utterly indecent later. It's midnight. Before he picked up his sleeping bag, Aizawa muttered, yeah. She's got a good point. Midnight is going to have final approval over your names. It's not my forte. The name you give yourself is important. It helps reinforce your image and shows what kind of hero you wanna be in the future. A codename tells people exactly what you represent. Take All Might for example. Following the distribution of the boards, the students got to work. Midnight said, Midoriya, care to go first? Midoriya stood on the stage after nodding. After a moment of hesitation, he placed his board on the podium and wrote, the wild card hero, Joker. Midnight's gaze was fixed on the board. Whoa, looking cool, Joker, she said, grinning and giving a thumbs up. Without replying, Midoriya went back to his chair. Midoriya mumbled, 7,026 offers, upon noticing the enormous pile on his table. Best get started. Knock knock, come in, said Midoriya, as Shiozaki entered carrying her own stack. I obtained 1,293 offers. Midoriya whispered, I have over 7,000, and I envy you. What? But I'm sure they're all low-level hero agencies who are desperate to gain popularity. The problem is that they're all in alphabetical order, not based on rank. Well, what are you looking for? Some place big to train my powers, as well as someone with a useful power to fill my 2 remaining slots. Which means Endeavor, Kamui Woods, Fourth Kind, and these others are pointless for my missions. But what about experience on the field? Midoriya replied, I don't need it. Knowing not to press him, Shiozaki said, I see, but you only have 2 days to figure this out. So what do you plan on doing? Something that I might regret. While Midoriya was rolling a huge raffle ticket drum filled with different pieces of paper, Shiozaki remarked, you cannot be serious. As serious as all get out. Midoriya rolled it further. I've read through these, and out of the 7,000 offers I have, 1,023 of them meet the criteria I set. I need to just pick one. I can't help but think you're bragging. As he ceased rolling the drum, Midoriya remarked, believe me. I'd rather have Ciro's offers than mine. He took out a paper after opening the lid. Well, who is it? Hello. Shiozaki took the paper from his grasp and examined it. She read out loud, number 398. Prior to examining the numbers and opening the packet, she uttered, 396, 397, 398, before coming to a halt at 398. Shiozaki muttered, oh, I'm rolling again. One of the voices behind him said, you're stuck with it. But Shota, Aizawa pinched the bridge of his nose and remarked, your luck is horrible, we've been over this, and yet you've tried it again. Why did you leave this one on the list? He asked. They have a big gym. No, are you sure I can't switch? No, you've dug your grave, now lay in it. Aizawa responded, sealing his fate by stamping his approval on the paper. You're interning there now, and be sure to give it plus ultra, you hear? Yes, Shota. /HYA. Hiya. shouts Shink. Shiozaki inquired, "Are you okay?" While Midoriya and a boy wearing a green tunic were viciously hacking and slashing through red goblins. And he's been at this for a long time, considering that he has 5,000 ko's. A giant golden A appeared on the results screen, and Midoriya responded, "Never better. I'm just wasting a week that I could be using for training. Why did I test my own luck?" Shiozaki said, "Maybe you'll gain something from this experience." Midoriya sighed and left the game after conceding, "Probably. But I'd rather be training in a gym. Anyway, want to continue with Yoshi's Woolly World?" "Yes. Shiozaki declared, "The snowball is a cotton ball. And it grows as you roll it." Shiozaki took in the first level of World 5 as Midoriya watched. "And the sky is a curtain." Midoriya cautioned, "Just wait until we reach the hard level. Oh, it won't be as bad as the previous one." She was mistaken. Shiozaki exclaimed, "Goodness," as the curtain swiftly carried her away. Before it killed someone when it flew into the pit from the pole. What? Midoriya clarified, "Yes, it's like the one in World 4, but way faster." "What?" Before shutting down the console, Midoriya stated, "And there are beads, and yarn, and flowers, and hearts we need to collect. But that's enough of that, we'll handle this another time. For now, have you decided on your internship?" she asked. Shiozaki acknowledged, "Oh, no, I haven't." "Then let me help you, go get your list." "Alright. While scratching off names, Midoriya muttered, bad, even worse, wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, and I don't want you to suffer with me. I've narrowed it down to 55 agencies that are worth your time. 3 stars are all around good ones but might be filled already, 2 stars are decent should the 3 stars be taken, and the 1 star when all else fails." Shiozaki glanced at the 3 stars, then the 2, and finally the 1, saying, "I see, thank you." She continued to focus on the 3 stars, though. "Someone caught your eye." "Yes, Kamui Woods. His quirk is essentially like yours, only it involves wood, and it's his entire body, as opposed to vines and only on your hair. However, you can use it in the same was essentially." Midoriya clarified, "He's a perfect fit for you. But he's a popular hero, I won't get picked. Your quirk is in the same ballpark as his. Not to mention it involves nature." Midoriya continued, "The heroes have the final say on who they take. If he doesn't pick you, then I'd be questioning his mental stability." Midoriya said, "Pick him, they gave you 3 choices for a reason." Shiozaki stated, "You're right." As she selected Kamui Woods as her top pick. "Now, who do you want for your next 2 options?" As she pushed open the glass doors, Shiozaki remarked, "This is it." The sound of the entrance bell reverberated softly throughout the hallway. "Oh, good afternoon, do you have an appointment with Mr. Kamui Woods?" "Why yes, I'm here for the internship." "Oh, you must be Abara Shiozaki, codename, Maria." Correct, was Shiozaki's response. The secretary said, "Right this way, he's expecting you." As she entered the main board room, where Kamui Woods was waiting, Shiozaki bowed and said, Thank you ma'am." "Welcome Maria, and let me just say thank you for accepting my offer." Shiozaki bowed and said, I should be thanking you. Thank you for taking a chance on me. After what I saw from the sports festival, who wouldn't? Even though I advanced with a technicality. That just means you have a great friend. I do, but I'm talking about your battle against said friend. You noticed his technique and immediately utilized it. The fact that you already used that new foreign concept immediately is impressive. But it's still new, and I wish to help you hone it, if you'll let me. Oh, of course. Then let's start right away. Yes, sir. I hope all is well with you, Midoriya. As soon as Midoriya entered, Kendo said, Midoriya, you're interning with us. Midoriya entered the tall building and said, luck failed me. Yaoyorozu inquired, what do you mean by that? Just watch. According to Uebami, the snake hero, I'm about to film a commercial, stick around okay? Well, I was kinda hoping I'd see something a little more action. Why? No, this sort of attention is something you can't avoid if you're a pro. Besides, she was kind enough to offer her wisdom to an unworthy student. So I'll take every lesson she has to give. Yaoyorozu replied. Kendo sighed and said, okay. But isn't there anything else we can do while we film this commercial, or whatever? He added, she's really into this. Do you know why I expanded my count to 3 to recruit you all? Any thoughts? Well, I guess it must be because you saw such heroic potential in us. Watch out for it, Midoriya thought, preparing for the blow. Of course I did, but there's another reason, she replied. Before reaching out to them, she said, you're both very cute young ladies, and a handsome young man. Quote. Huh, with a sigh, Midoriya remarked, I expected that. Huh, to be honest, I would rather be training my quirks, but I'm stuck here due to bad luck. Midoriya continued, but since I'm here, I'm going to give you plus ultra, so you best prepare yourself, Uwabami. She grinned and said, well, let's get to work. Lead the way, look at the camera, there we go. Like that. Snap snap. As he meticulously followed the photographer's instructions, Midoriya thought bitterly, man, these jeans are so uncomfortable. Heroes aren't all just beating villains. Uwabami continued, you're strong, a capable fighter, and have a wide array of quirks at your disposal, that much is certain. However, you're neglecting another important aspect about yourself, your appearance. I don't like the direction this is going. Like I said earlier, heroes aren't just beating villains, but also rescuing civilians. She clarified, during a villain attack, those directly impacted will be scared, too terrified to even move. It will make your job easier if your presence can calm them down in an instant. Take All Might for example, his boisterous laugh, his smile, and his intro line of, I am here, is able to calm the civilians and the public in an instant. It puts them at ease, knowing that they will be safe with him around. BZZBZZ. Before getting up from her chair, Uwabami remarked, oh, seems the girls are done. Remember, having power doesn't make you the best hero, there's a reason why Endeavor is still in second place, even though he outperforms All Might. Then, she went out. As he left the room wearing his typical loose-fitting attire, Midoriya muttered, that went quicker than I expected, with his 18-feet case in hand. Hatsume finished my costume yesterday, but told me to not open it until I made it to my internship. Time to see what she came up with. Click flap. A note, Midoriya inquired, then picked up the note that had dropped to the ground when the case had opened. I've completed modifying your costume to match your present quirks, dear Izuku Midoriya. Took a long time and was very costly, but it's okay because it wasn't my responsibility. I can just hear her yelling that. Your outfit is now regenerative. In other words, it will self-reform if you tear it. Breaking every physics rule. That's my specialty. Let's get back to the actual costume. You big nerd, I based it on the character you named yourself after. Although it's not entirely true, I took off his red gloves for obvious reasons involving acid, scale, metal claws, and big fist. However, I pierced your wrist to use blood control and added wrist braces similar to Bakugo's grenade gauntlets so you can detonate massive explosions without getting hurt. The tail on your pants has regeneration, the shirt can open up to unleash naval laser and create things with creation, and your shoes have small holes for acid skaters like a Shido and to use your jet. Erasure and zoom will be aided by your mask, and the red eyes will make you resemble the Metaverse Joker. Also, your jacket will regenerate when you use razor sharp and engine, but it may interfere with Dupley arms and Somnambulist. I can't do much about it without detracting from the Joker's aesthetic. That's fine, there are times where Somnambulist will interfere with a fight, but Dupley arms is one of my most useful quirks, so if I ever need it I could just take off the jacket. In any case, have fun. Additionally, please refrain from destroying it right away. Mei Hatsume, also known as the greatest support designer in history. Midoriya tucked the note away, and declared the case closed. At this time, I don't need the suit. I was overcome by my curiosity. What I require, is to train my powers. He thought for a moment, then took out his notebook. I should only train non-destructive quirks, so I can't use explosion, half hot half cold, acid, electrification, cement, naval laser, or earphone jack. Earphone jacks might work just fine. Even the least significant ones could be trained by me, since they cause the least amount of damage. Thus, zero gravity, creation, and size. In addition to training Dark Midoriya, I could make a sandbag to train Tail. I could also make targets for horn cannon archery. However, I also need to understand how to make the items. Now that Yaoyorozu is here, I could take her dictionary. Midoriya listed off. In any case, maybe it was a good thing I came to this internship. I can't make things without fats. Let's check to see if a bakery is in the area. ... Wow, that's really inexpensive. ... Those curls were the worst. Kendo muttered, that was a pain in the ass. But this is necessary to be a hero. Well, we're done for today, so maybe we'll do something tomorrow. Kendo thought to herself, she keeps saying that. Please. Before opening the door to the intern's designated bedroom, Uebami said. Hopefully. To observe an odd occurrence. Only the room's light provided any kind of visibility in the completely dark space. However, they saw Midoriya, dressed only in shorts, standing in front of a large table with about 30 large cakes to his left and dolls of various sizes floating on his right. He was shooting horns at 7 archery targets, most of which hit bull's eyes, while Dark Midoriya and his tail were whacking their own sandbags. This shit's boring, cried Dark Midoriya. Midoriya threatened, keep doing it or I'll turn the lights back on. As she switched on the lights, Kendo exclaimed, what the hell am I looking at? Dark Midoriya screamed, Gah, you said you wouldn't, and then ducked under the table. With a sigh, Midoriya pushed the dolls he had made aside and said, you've been trained enough. He muttered, thank God, and vanished into his thoughts. Good evening, said Midoriya. Hi, you still didn't answer my question. I was training my quirks. Midoriya said, I couldn't train any of the quirks I usually train, not without running the risk of leveling this entire building. So I picked the least destructive quirks I have in my arsenal to train. Kendo said, I see. While Yaoyorozu peered down. Least damaging, yes, but why are you doing this in our room? Where will we sleep? Replied Kendo. Here, I could just shrink the table and the other large objects. To which Kendo answered, right. Midoriya pointed his finger at the targets and said, or I could do this. Constructing a black hole that will suck the targets in and destroy them. Either way works. Kendo said sourly, can you get any more overpowered? I wouldn't call this overpowered. You have how many quirks? 47, but that's not my point. Midoriya responded, my power is a complicated one. If I wish to copy a quirk I need to know, verbatim, how they work. For example, during the USJ, there was a villain with the ability to teleport people with portals. His quirk would be extremely useful for me to copy, but I didn't know exactly how it worked. So I couldn't copy it. And if I do copy a quirk, it starts at the weakest level. And I've had your quirks for a month, while all of you had them since age 4. You all have an 11-year lead on me. So I need to train my hardest to catch up. But you have 47 quirks. Which leads to another downside. Midoriya began, quirks are physical abilities, extra muscles on your body. Take Yaoyorozu's creation for example, her quirk relies on fats to create anything she knows how to make, however when she continues to use creation her body gets weaker due to her depleting her fat supplies. Now, say I overexert creation, and switch to Kaminari's electrification and overexert that. Not only am I weak, but also brain-shocked. Even if I switched from creation, the negative effects it has on my body still lingers. Meaning I have to not only train to make them stronger, but also train to increase my resistance to their negative effects. So yes, I have numerous weapons on my side, but I also suffer the backlash from utilizing those weapons. Kendo mumbled, wow, looking at it like that really sucks. Wait, is that why you never go to class? She asked, her eyes widening. Before levating the cakes into 3 different refrigerators, Midoriya replied, yes, but there's another reason that I'd rather keep to my chest. Before she left the room, Midoriya said, if you want some, then help yourselves. I need to shower. Kendo and Yaoyorozu were left to process the information that had just been presented to them. I need to train some more, a lot more. So we roll the dice, see where they may fa. Bzzz. Midoriya complained, resentful that his pleasant, hot shower had been cut short. Who's calling? Until he noticed the caller id's name. Shiozaki. She's calling, but why? Before picking up the phone, he gave it some thought. Hello. Good evening Midoriya, are you busy? I'm currently showering. Oh, should I call later? If you're calling in the evening, then it must be important. But I do not wish to interrupt your time. I do not want to sound rude, but you already did. So what did you need? Well, I mainly wanted to see how you were doing. You weren't excited to go to the internship with Uwabami. While I was right in the fact that I'm being dressed up for a photo shoot and most likely going to be used to film a commercial, I was wrong in the fact that that's not all I've done here. How so? To put it simply, she's more knowledgeable than I gave her credit for. She's teaching me aspects about being a hero that I neglected. That's wonderful. I would much rather train. Don't mince my intentions, but I'm glad I'm gaining something from this. I see. What about you? How is Kamui treating you? Oh, Kamui Woods is wonderful. I'm learning how to properly utilize the technique you showed me during the sports festival. And I'm making some headway. Even if I've fallen on my face numerous times. That's essentially how I've started. But I've eventually got the hang of it. You don't have the burden of training other quirks, so you should get it in no time. Thank you for the confidence. I sense that she is bowing. Anyway, I just wanted to see how you were faring. I'll let you get back to your shower. And with that, the song resumed after the call ended. How is Tokoyami doing, I wonder? Dark Shadow screamed, I'm on it. As he and Tokoyami hurried to the battle hero Gunhead, who was waiting for them. As he batted Dark Shadow away and then grabbed Tokoyami's punch, Gunhead remarked, I see you're getting used to attacking as a duo. But your technique and form is still sloppy. Wham! GHH. With Gunhead's back to him, Dark Shadow rushed and screamed, damn it. Only to punch Dark Shadow away and release Tokoyami. Seems you still have your work cut out for you too, but keep at it. Tokoyami thought, I'll beat you, and then he leapt back up and attacked once more. Creak. As he emerged from the shower, Midoriya let out a "hoo" and hurriedly dried off before putting on his pajamas. He then went back to his sleeping quarters, which he shared with Kendo and Yaoyorozu. After hearing it from Uwabami, the two girls complained about it, and those complaints came back. Just know, if you try something, I won't hesitate to throw you out of the building. The direct response from Midoriya was, I am not Mineta. Before laying beside Yaoyorozu, Kendo said, I just wanted to make sure you were aware. 6 days to go, 1 day down. The interviewer said, so, mind telling me your name? My name is Izuku Midoriya, code name Joker. I attend UA, and I am currently interning under the pro hero Uwabami. Midoriya said. So Midoriya, if I recall, you defeated the hero killer live during the UA Sports Festival. Most people are saying it was staged for sudden fame. What's your take on that? Let me preface this by saying that it wasn't my intention to show that battle on live television. It happened in an alleyway while I was returning from an errand. I was teleported to the sports festival stadium for reasons unknown. Midoriya thought, going for the big questions right off the bat. How did you end up at the stadium? I couldn't really see. I saw purple mist, so it must be another person's quirk at work. It wasn't the hero killer's quirk. His quirk relied on blood ingestion to paralyze people. Not teleportation. I see, so you found the hero killer by pure happenstance then. But what made you want to fight him? As I'm sure the media has made apparent, the pro-hero Ingenium was the hero killer's last target before his arrest. He fought valiantly, but he was going to be killed had I not stepped in. So his shortcomings was what warranted you to fight. He lost, but it wasn't his shortcomings that made him lose. He's a powerful and skillful hero, but that's not all that make a battle. Lack of information, and the location of the battle was what gave Stain the edge. But I digress. I jumped in once I saw Ingenium on the ground, paralyzed with the hero killer standing over him with his sword aimed over his spine. My instincts was to jump in. What's your next move, now that you've taken down the hero killer? The interviewer asked. I see, moving on. I don't have a provisional license, so my moves are limited. As of right now, I'm learning all I could under Uwabami. Uwabami is a hero that focuses on rescue, and modeling on the side. Sounds like the polar opposite to your focus. Why did you choose Uwabami as opposed to the other heroes you could have interned with? I noticed that as heroes climb up the ranks, their public image grow more and more important. Heroes aren't just fighting villains, but they need to keep the public and those they are rescuing calm. Lie. Don't say it was luck that you are here, Midoriya told himself. She sounds wise. She's a lot more intelligent than she lets on. Okay girls and Midoriya, we're going out on patrol today. Are you serious? Thank God, laughed Kendo excitedly. The three of them split the work equally after Midoriya was added. The girls handled the commercial and accompanied her to a radio show as a guest, while Midoriya took care of the magazine photo shoot and a brief interview. Fortunately, the publisher of the magazine wanted a male model to add some interest. Their daily schedule was shortened as a result, so Uebami added a patrol to make up for the lost time. Put on your costumes, we're heading out in 10 minutes. Yes ma'am. At last, some progress. Kendo pondered. Yaoyorozu also thought, a chance to be a hero at last. As they made their way to their separate changing rooms, Midoriya thought, I feel like I know where this is going. This is what she meant by patrol, Midoriya thought as he observed Uebami signing a large number of notebooks from fervent female fans, from children to teenagers. But at least they're concentrating on Hima. Tug. Looking down, Midoriya saw a little girl with green hair tugging at the flaps of his jacket. Excuse me, Mr. Midoriya? He asked. Midoriya thought, she looks familiar, and then knelt down to match her height. She held out a small notebook and asked, see, can you sign this? What's your name? Midoriya asked, taking the notebook and making a pen out of his palm. Satsuki Asui. As he signed the notebook and gave it back to her, Midoriya deduced that it was Asui's sister. Rip off the mask that shields your heart and clouds your judgment, so you can change the hearts of others. Izuku. Joker. Midoriya. She was reading aloud. She bowed and said, thank you. With a broad smile. Midoriya gave a nod. Prior to putting his mask on her head, he removed it. Here. But don't you need this? Not particularly. And now you can start changing people's hearts. Midoriya replied. Satsuki's eyes grew wide. Thank you, she cried, embracing his leg briefly before sprinting in the direction of three frog-like figures. Mommy, Daddy, Sumiter, I can change people's hearts, she said. That's nice dear, but I thought you were here for Uebami. She answered, oh, I forgot, but I got a mask, she said before covering her eyes with the mask. Before guiding the family away from the enormous crowd of fangirls, the woman rolled her eyes. When they were gone, Uebami turned around. She smirked knowingly and said, see what I meant? Before signing another bag. I'll be honest, she was correct. Additionally, I must give Hatsume a call shortly. BZZBZZ. Is Shiozaki sending me another text? Unknown number. Midoriya, it's Sue. I am. Asui, you got my number, but how? I asked Yaoyorozu to call me Sue. After all, she is the class representative. Yaoyorozu, did you give Asui my number? Her usual, proper, tone was absent as she responded, she asked for it. Before turning to his phone, Midoriya thought, I'll remember that for later. What were you in need of? I wanted to express my gratitude for bringing Satsuki joy. She emailed me a photo of herself with a mask that was too large. Izuku, Joker, Midoriya, a hero, made it, she said. And declaring that she will rip off the mask that obscures her judgment and protects her heart, in order for her to influence other people's hearts. You've truly impressed her, it was adorable. I was merely acting out the role. In relation to that, what role are you portraying? Persona 5 Royal is the definitive version of the game, and it is the protagonist of Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal. You battle personas, or manifestations of the user's personality, in this role-playing game. You can call forth personas in Persona 5 by tearing off the masks of the characters, which alludes to tearing off the mask that prevented them from seeing the truth, in order to win over the adversary's hearts. It was surprisingly thorough. There's a reason it's my favorite game. Would you advise Satsuki to do it? She is too young for it. Does Sumiter find it too mature? Most likely, but before making a judgment, give it a try. Would you allow me to participate in your games? By all means, Shiozaki plays them constantly. Don't touch the first file, though. I understand. I'll look into the internships. I just wanted to say thank you, but I have to go. You're a very kind person. I'm grateful. Click slam creak. As he looked at the clock, which read 3:43 a.m., Midoriya thought, someone opened the door. He noticed an empty futon as he looked around the room, and a little pool of drool formed as Kendo stretched out over her futon, blanket kicked onto the floor beside her. That's a little repulsive. However, Yaoyorozu isn't present, so she must have left. She didn't need to use the bathroom, since we have one in the sleeping quarters, Midoriya said as she got off the futon and left the room. Therefore, it must be something else. Midoriya heard her ascend the stairs before taking it off, so he plugged an earphone jack into the wall and thought, she's climbing up. Perhaps heading to the roof. Tap 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 creak slam. She's heading to the roof, but why? She could have used the balcony in the sleeping quarters if she had wanted some fresh air. She most likely wants a peaceful spot to reflect while reflecting on it. Throughout her internships, she wore this expression. That, I want to accomplish something, look. She must be impatient or feel unworthy, or both. She is most likely grieving over her defeat by Tokoyami. As he opened the door leading to the roof, Midoriya thought to himself, I should have paid more attention, but that's I can't change the past. To witness Yaoyorozu standing on the rim with a view of the city. Midoriya called out, hey. Yaoyorozu just kept staring at the city without turning around. Just as he was standing next to her, Midoriya approached her. Choosing to speak, she said, the city looks beautiful at night. Midoriya answered, it does. Care to stand with me? As he stood with her on the ledge, looking out over Saitama Prefecture at night, Midoriya said. Sure. Before turning to face him, Yaoyorozu said, you are by far the most powerful student in our class, Midoriya, so I want you to be honest with me. Am I strong? Midoriya studied her face for a long moment before responding. She was crying, her eyes were red and puffy. Still, before responding honestly, Midoriya reflected, I should be honest. Your power is powerful, the ability to create anything from your fat cells, with the only downside being knowing the item's chemical makeup is a useful power on the field. Not only that, but your intellect and ability to work well with others is a valuable asset. Thank you, however, Midoriya replied, which silenced her. Your speed and strength is severely lacking. From what I've seen from your battle against Tokoyami in the VODs, you couldn't bat away Dark Shadow. If you could have, then you would have won that battle. Not to mention, you can create blunt weapons with your quirk, while learning how to swing them properly is a large aspect to using them proficiently. Strength is another large aspect to swing them hard and swiftly. Oh okay, and another thing, your lack of confidence is your downfall as well. That's something one can't just change. Of course you can, just don't care. People are going to have negative perceptions about you, that's just life. People aren't going to see your worth, that's just life. People are going to think you're weak, that's just life. But all that should matter to you, is what you think your potential is. Midoriya continued. One battle in a pointless sports festival, your first one mind you, won't make your legacy. What will make your legacy is what you do out there, in the battlefield. So what I'm saying is, don't care about other people's opinions, instead care about what you can do to change. So wait, does that mean I shouldn't care about what you're saying? Yes, no, damn it it's 3:40, this isn't the time for speeches. Just better yourself, that's what you should take away from this. SNRK, Bahaha, let out Yaoyorozu's laugh. Midoriya's face began to heat up. This is embarrassing. Yaoyorozu exhaled. Oh okay, who I really needed that. Thank you. Before embracing Midoriya. Without being able to give the hug back, Midoriya said, you're welcome. She withdrew from the embrace and continued, acknowledge, that I will beat you one of these days. Midoriya said, you, Tokoyami, and Bakugo 3. But it's late, we should return to bed. One last thing, Midoriya said, right. Yes. For the love of God, invest in a cloak. That open chest thing is an invitation for someone to kill you instantly. Midoriya begged. Noted. Okay, I think I got everything. The clerk said, that will be 1,503,943 yen please. If I get a daughter in the future. As he gave the clerk's Uebami's card, Midoriya thought, she never wears makeup. Who are you in relation to Ms. Uebami? Fortunately, Midoriya took out his phone and gave it to Uebami, who had been ready for this moment. Hello. According to Uebami, he's my intern. I see, have a good day ma'am. You too. Click, here you are, have a nice day. Okay, I got the makeup, now I need to get lunch. Wham! The impact caused a little girl with white hair and a small horn to squeak, H-ha. Before falling to the ground. Kneeling next to her, Midoriya inquired, are you alright? Attempting to assist her in getting up, only to have her wince. I'm flinching as I reach for her. As he observed the bandages covering her entire arm, Midoriya thought, strike one. Bandages for her entire arms and legs, as opposed to certain places where there would be cuts. Ball 1. Her arms and legs might be covered in butterfly skin. But the torn gown and the lack of shoes. Hit 2. Airy. The voice made her wince once more, and when she looked up, she saw a man wearing a plague doctor's mask, a fancy jacket, and brand new trousers. Definitely strike 2 with that outfit. And flinching at the sound of this man's voice, strike 3 and you're out. I apologize for her, she's rather clumsy. Clumsy, is that the new term for this? The girl tightened her hold on Midoriya's arm as he commanded, come along Eri, you're interrupting this man's errands. She begged, don't go. Can you hear me, Eri? What? I need you to listen to what I'm about to say. I've used my other quirk, search, on you, so I'll know where you are for 10 full hours. Now, I need you to go after him. I'm speaking to you telepathically. That's my power. The man began to grow impatient and said, come on Eri, let the man go. I need you to trust me, even though I can't hear what you're saying in your head. I'll save you, but I need you to put up with what he's doing for a little while longer before you're free. If you agree, blink once. So you've finally stopped your rebellious game of hide and seek? He asked, bowing to Midoriya, after she had blinked once, before letting go and approaching him. I apologize, have a good day. And then, before leaving through the alley, he noticed Eri's white outline as they slipped out of his line of sight. I'm going to save her. It was nighttime, and Midoriya was holding his phone while seated in front of his suitcase. I am. Shiozaki. Is. Indeed, Midoriya. I am. You're able to maintain secrecy, correct? Is. What do you want to tell me, of course? I am. I'm positive that the person I saw is a villain. Is. What did you do? Have you caught him? Instant messaging. I couldn't, not without killing someone. I wanted to speak with you for this reason. I am. I'm pursuing him because I'm positive he's abusing a young girl. She shudders in terror at the sound of his voice and recoils at the first hint of movement in her direction. In addition, her entire arm and leg are covered in bandages. Of course, aside from that, I don't have any evidence against him. I am. I'm pursuing him, then, unlawfully. Is. You ought to report this, Midoriya. I am. The girl will die if the police get involved. I was the only one who saw this. And I'll be responsible for that. Is. Why are you determined to save this girl? Inform her. I am. A villain took my mother away from me. I left the sports festival for that reason. Is. Well, I am. When I was 5, I lost her. Like her, unlike her, though, I lost everything. I am at liberty. I am. I'll release her. Is. Since you haven't told me anything about this villain, I am unable to physically stop you or report this. Is. But swear to me that you'll save her and catch the bad guy unharmed. I apologize, Shiozaki. I am. I swear. Is. Next. Nothing was visible or audible to me. The chat log has been erased by Abara Shiozaki. Is. How are you tonight, Midoriya? Good evening. I am. Uebami is having a good internship. Is. That's interesting, but I have to keep training, so I wish I could stay and talk. Good night. I am. Good night. I apologize. When Midoriya noticed Eri's white border resting on what he assumed to be a bed, he thought, there she is. He hoped she had a bed, at least. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I performed a search on her. I have half an hour to find the girl because it's 1:30 in the morning, but I should look around first. Zooming around the rather nice house, he saw that the lights were all off, but there were cameras positioned in every corner of the front. I could enter covertly by using black. I've discovered that when I'm wearing something black, cameras won't detect me. Shihai will help me save someone, even though he may not realize it. Before he leapt from the building he was sitting in and disappeared into the night's dark shadows, Midoriya thought, but I can't see what's inside the house unless I go in. ... Floop. As he emerged from the shadows, Midoriya thought, I'm in, no cameras in the doorway. He then raised his eye to the ceiling. I need to make a note of any cameras in the area, so first things first, find the girl to reset search's time limit. He moved cautiously through the corridors, noting the locations of the cameras in the dark areas. Fortunately, all of the cameras are located in dimly lit areas, which probably serves to conceal their location from would-be robbers. After noting the locations of each camera, Midoriya moved cautiously down the corridor, dodging each one as he made his way to the room where Eri is being held. Just as the boarder was about to disappear. This is the door. Jiggle jiggle. Blocked. As he took a lock-picking kit from his stomach, Midoriya thought, I figured so. He made a few quick hand gestures, then unlocked and opened the door. A tiny lump in the bed jumped in surprise. Then Eri squeaked, I'm sleeping. Eri jumped out of bed to see Midoriya when he said, Eri, it's me. Why you came? Midoriya shut the door behind him and shushed, Shush. I'm here to rescue you, but that won't be easy. But you will save me, right? Yes, but I need a moment to look around. Oh okay. As Midoriya moved about the room, she saw many toys gathering dust. She doesn't use her toys for play. They are robbing her of her innocence, and I have no idea what they are doing to her. Before he looked up to see a window that was barred up and a small device on the windowsill, Midoriya thought, bastards. Alarm. The alarm will sound to let the enemy know where I am if I break or open that. I would prefer to leave without being noticed because I am unaware of their peculiarities. I could walk through the wall and soften it. However, I'm not sure if there is a camera outside. In addition, I am unable to transform anything that isn't black into something that is. Around the corner is a camera. I don't care enough to suggest that, but I'm not sure why they didn't put one above the door. My options are to try to sneak out with Eri, break open the window and rush out, or gamble on softening the wall. The enemy will probably be alerted by all of those. Therefore, it isn't a question of what will get her out the quickest. However, what will delay the enemy's approach to Eri and me? As he plugged an earphone jack into the wall, Midoriya pondered, to hear glasses clinking and laughter. The enemy appears to be having a party. For what purpose? I'm not Surya. There's the birthday boy. Boss. This is a waste of time. Come on boss. Everyone should celebrate their birthday. Fine. My birthday present is for one of you to watch the girl while I continue my work. Oh, she's locked in her room, and we installed that window alarm. If she breaks out we'll know. Did you also install the camera right above the door should she know to just open the door? ... We'll take care of that after we cut the cake. ... Morons. He's correct that they're idiots, but they're ... Probably 4 rooms down. They can come running after me if I smash the window. I'll be closer if I go out into the hallway. If the camera that might be out there catches me softening the wall, I'll be essentially in the room, and they'll come running after me. They'll also smash the window and leave the corner. Agreement. I have been blocked. Whatever the purpose of this girl is. ... The last thing they want is for her to go. Thus, the question of how to leave this place while keeping the greatest amount of distance from the enemy is no longer relevant. But it ought to be. How can I leave this place with the least amount of opposition? They're 4 doors away, implying that I could face them. However, I am unaware of their peculiarities. Hold on. Split and conquer. The best way for me to leave with Eri is like that, with the least amount of opposition. Midoriya remarked, Eri, I have an idea. What is it? I'm going to get the guard's attention. What? With this glass ball. In his hands, Midoriya completed forming a glass ball. If I throw it into the hall, the guards will split up to come check on you, and see the mess. I would rather fight half of the enemies than all of them at once if I break out with you. But what about me? They'll hurt me, and cut me. Midoriya flinched as he slowly reached out to her and said, "I won't let them," before he slowly eased her anxiety by giving her a gentle head rub. "But I need you to trust me." "I trust you." As he made a slightly larger baby carrier, Midoriya remarked, "Good, because I need you to get in this." As she climbed into the carrier, Eri nodded and said, "Oh okay, I'm in." Activating Dupley arms and encircling her in a protective barrier, Midoriya nodded as he raised her up and strapped her to his back. Prior to grabbing the ball, he used Poltergeist to levitate it onto the ground. It was moved into the hallway and allowed to float to the ceiling. "I'm about to drop it. Ready?" "Why yes." After letting it go and hearing a loud crash, Midoriya plugged an earphone jack into the wall so he could hear it. "Something broke." "That's your boss. You three check Eri's room, the rest of you check the halls." "Yes sir, they're coming. Get ready." "Oh okay." Midoriya stood ready as the loud jiggling of the handle reverberated throughout the room. "Game on." Click slam. "Eri, who the hell are you?" FWOOSH wham. Without any delay, Midoriya used the black beak mask to punch the blonde. "Larceny!" shouted the crystal-covered man, "Boss and INTRUD." Wham slam. "W who are you? What do you want?" According to Midoriya, "I'm Izuku Midoriya, and I'm here to rescue this girl." I didn't wish to answer. It must be his power, it makes no difference. Wham! GHH. The three who were dispatched to locate Eri are down, however, the boss should arrive shortly. "I have to leave now." Midoriya slammed through the wall and dashed across the courtyard, but not before a big man wearing a black mask and holding two metal demi-gaunts rushed ahead of him and punched him, which Midoriya quickly sidestepped. "You? Who are you?" Midoriya answered, "A man who is here to rescue this girl." He prepared to attack after realizing that he wouldn't get away easily, saying, "And I won't let anyone stand in my way." Pwang, a green force field encircled Midoriya as a man wearing a monk's robe appeared behind him. That would go against the will of Master Overhaul. "We don't have time to bother with this scum Kendo." "Shut up Hekiji. I wanted to fight him to the death." "Again, we don't have time for that, the master will be here soon." Pwang Fwink. "W what?" Slam as he dispatched Hekiji with a single blow, Midoriya said, "Erasure." His force fields would eventually get annoying. Before turning to face Midoriya, Kendo retorted, "Ain't that the truth? You're strong. I like that." He then smirked eerily and said, "Let's fight." Before erecting dirt walls around them, Midoriya declared, "A fight is inevitable with you. But I don't wish for your master to intervene." "He's not my master, don't get Hekiji's words twisted. I lost to Overhaul 5 times. And I want to best him, but you're a strong motherfucker. So I want to fight you as a test," he stated prior to preparing, "so come at me. Electrification is not an option for me, and explosion could harm Eri's hearing. This guy wants to fight hand to hand. I'll give him one, then." Midoriya thought, "Here, one for all, Pillabody, Steel, and Big Fist will work best." He activated one for all and charged at Kendo, using Steel just in time to land a forceful blow to his chest. "Hell yeah. You're what I'm looking for, man. It's a shame I gotta kill you. Oof." Kendo grunted, then grinned. "This is wham 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 wham, he's fast." Midoriya braced himself for the swift barrage of blows. "Take this." Wham! Midoriya was flung through the dirt wall by Kendo's punch. "Chrono. Now," said a man who Midoriya thought was the boss, throwing a small box to the man with the gun and white coat. "I can't allow him to understand that. Whatever it is." Midoriya thought as he halted himself and used attraction of small objects to take the box before Chrono could get his hands on it. "What?" Chrono exclaimed in disbelief. "He's min. BOOM. He's mine," shouted another large man as he smashed through the structure, reducing it to rubble as he tried to swing at Midoriya, who quickly sidestepped and pulled back his tongue. Kendo shouted, "Back off Rikia, he's mine. The boss wants him dead," and the girl returned. As Kendo shouted, "Hell no, he's mine. This is my opportunity." Foop as he swung at Midoriya with a gloveless hand, a man wearing a black bird mask and a green jacket grunted, "You ruined our plans and stole our property. So she's property to you, scum. Don't try to understand something you don't know a damn thing about. All I know is that the girl doesn't want to be here, and you're hurting her." Wham! Midoriya said, "And that's all I need to know," as he slammed the leader back into the debris. "Boss Overhaul," shouted Rikia. "Finally, I have him for my cell." Boom 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 whoosh boom. Overhaul snarled, "Now. You made me mad." After merging with Kendo and Rikia, Overhaul changed into a strangely tall and muscular Goliath, with rock covering his skin, many enormous appendages growing all over his body, and Overhaul himself lying in the middle of his face. There's no point in trying to be careful. I can just rebuild Eri if I kill her with you. As he got to his feet, Midoriya grunted, if this is a joke, it stopped being funny. I have no choice. I must fill out the form. Eri, I have to fight with it even if it kills me. Why yes? As he made some soundproof earmuffs, Midoriya thought, good, she's conscious. He unwrapped the arms around her and gave her the earmuffs, saying, put these on. She cried out, they're on. Midoriya mumbled, good, and inhaled deeply. Now die. Slam FWOOSH, it's about time I even the playing field. Maybe I should have a joint patrol with. Boom. W what? Uwabami cried as she hurried to the window to witness a glowing speck punching a huge titan. As she quickly put on her costume and grabbed her keys, she realized, Midoriya. She crashed into the room where Kendo and Yaoyorozu were sleeping as she came downstairs. They leapt from their futons as a result. Uwabami. What's wrong? Midoriya's out fighting a villain. You two stay here, I'll be back. Then what was the point of telling us if you're just going to leave? In case I don't come back, you know what happened. Then, she didn't say anything more before leaving. Bam boom FWOOSH Midoriya and Overhaul were engaged in a bloody conflict. Every attack is countered, dodged, and parried. The important word here is visibly, as neither side appears fatigued. He's being protective. I must put an end to this immediately, Midoriya thought as he hurried to Overhaul, only to have his progress halted. If you think it will be that simple, then you're wrong. Overhaul seized Midoriya and hurled him into the surrounding buildings as they faced the city. I must bear the brunt of this. Just before he crashed into the building, Midoriya thought as he pulled Eri from his back to his chest. He then broke through to the next building, then the next, and finally stopped on the fourth. Eri's headphones were knocked off by the impact. Crack. GHH, Eri, or yo. Are you okay? Crick, I'm fine. But, before Eri could say anything more, Midoriya pushed her back onto his back and put the headphones over her ears. My back was crippled by that throw. But I must go on, he is too strong to be abandoned in the city. FWOOSH Midoriya hurried back into the battle after launching himself from the building he was in. I knew that throw wouldn't cripple you, Overhaul replied, a thorn that deep in my side won't be removed that easily. With a hasty approach to Overhaul, Midoriya replied, then you best come up with a strategy quick. With my power right now, I'm not going to beat him. Young Midoriya, you have impressed me, your training is progressing nicely. I need to strengthen myself, but you are not moving forward. I must be quicker. You've reached a plateau, even though you might be able to use 45% of one for all. I require to surpass. Don't worry, I'll help you. I'll demonstrate to you what it really means to go above and beyond. BZZTBZZT, W what? Are you getting stronger? Midoriya grunted as he focused on putting more and more force into his body, saying, yes, I am. I won't let you, 46, 47, 48, 49. Die, 50%. Slam FWOOSH, impossible. NGGH. I'm barely able to maintain this form. Additionally, 50% of one for all is reducing my allotted time. I believe. No more than 7 minutes. Midoriya thought, intimidate him, and then he cracked his knuckles audibly. He raised his voice and caught Overhaul's attention, saying, 7 minutes. 7 minutes is all I can spare to play with you. And with that, he hurried, boom boom. Uwabami shouted, come on faster, as she raced across the highway toward the battle that was taking place right in front of her. The tiny green spark of Midoriya and the enormous size of Overhaul are engaged in a bloody conflict, with their attacks causing shockwaves across Japan. GHH. Screech until traffic halted her progress. A policeman shouted, please don't panic. We're safe here, but you have to stay calm. Boom boom as the shockwaves grew louder and stronger, Uwabami pushed the illegality of her actions to the back of her mind and threw open her car door and started running down the highway, saying, I don't have time for this. Midoriya. You better win this. I sense my power ebbing away. I have to stop this, right now. Damn you brat. You don't understand her importance, Overhaul shouted, heroes like you don't see the big picture. Pulling back his right hand, Midoriya remarked, and you don't see the consequences of your actions. This girl is coming with me, and you're going to lose. And throughout it, charged 100% one for all. Overhaul screamed, "No, you will lose," as he withdrew his fist for his final stance. Midoriya shouted at the top of his lungs, "Eri, brace yourself," loud enough for Eri to barely hear and put her arms around her torso. She shouted, "Ready," as Midoriya hurried over to Overhaul. Ha! Ah! Bam crash when their full power punches collided. The result was a tremendous explosion that shattered the surrounding buildings and glass. Their assaults were equally spaced. Boom boom. In order to gain the strength and speed he needed to defeat Overhaul, Midoriya withdrew his left arm and began exploding massively. No. Damn you, slam bam. Rumble rumble rumble. The three members that made up that form were released onto the ground as Overhaul's massive body shrank back down. Overhaul himself crashed into the only remaining wall, leaving Kendo and Rikia unconscious on the ground, before collapsing over him. There, I did it, Midoriya reflected, before One for All and his ultimate form vanished from his body. Fatigue quickly overtook him after the fight, causing him to thump loudly back down onto the destroyed building. Midoriya said, Eri. He's down. His back was filled with muffled sobs of relief. Rumble. The rocks beneath Overhaul began to move as Midoriya looked up at the source of the noise. I am impossible. Before attempting to move his arms, Midoriya pondered. After punching Overhaul with 100% of One for All, his right arm was purple and broken. Unbuckling Eri's strap with his left arm. Eri, you have to run. What? Midoriya shouted, now, as Overhaul leapt from the debris. He limped toward him, growling, Midoriya. I thought. As Eri climbed out of the carrier and fled, Midoriya yelled, leave, now. However, Overhaul kept moving in the direction of Midoriya's frozen body rather than pursuing her. You said. I didn't think about the consequences of my actions. Well, look at you. Unable to move. You gave everything to save that girl. Stomp. It required all of Midoriya's willpower to remain silent when Overhaul stomped on her mangled right arm, trying to act as the big hero. But look what happened to you. No other heroes here to save you. Wham! Midoriya turned over after receiving a kick to the stomach. As Overhaul removed his gloves and put his hands around Midoriya's neck, he muttered, well, I still have use for you. Midoriya used erasure out of habit. My quirk allows me to destroy and rebuild anything with touch, even humans. And your quirk of copying other people's quirks will be a useful drug on the market. If I can use Eri's quirk to erase quirks permanently, then I can use yours into a drug as well, he said, and Midoriya's eyes widened. I see you understand what your predicament is. The minute you let go of your quirk, I will use my quirk on you to destroy and rebuild you. The pain will be so great that you will fall unconscious, and once you do, you will be used as a test subject. You will never see your family Aga. Eri shouted, no, and hurled a knife directly at Overhaul's face. The knife of Midoriya. His right hand moved reflexively as it scraped his cheek. GHH. You little. Midoriya saw a gap and used his right hand to draw the knife toward him, and grasped the knife with all of his strength, and struck Overhaul's face with the knife. Stay back. It's not safe, Midoriya. Uwabami shouted as she rushed past Death Arms and into the demolished structure. NGGH. NGGH. To witness Midoriya repeatedly slicing at a face that had been mutilated. She screamed, Midoriya, and pushed Midoriya away from the body. No. Stop. Stop. Don't fucking touch me. Uwabami held Midoriya's face so she could look into it and exclaimed, look, it's me, it's me. Look, look. His tense, labored breathing began to ease. His eyes began to well up with tears. He wanted to. Pulling Midoriya into a tender embrace, Uwabami said, it's okay. It's okay. It's all over now. It's okay. He wanted to. He wanted to. He wanted. Native exclaimed, Uwabami. What, oh my god, upon seeing the scene. He's unconscious. Get an ambulance over here. Why yes ma'am. He used his quirk without a license, broke into private property, and above all else killed a man. Death Arms shouted, he's a criminal through and through, and as a result should be expelled and sent to Tar. Slam, I am here, said All Might, All Might. Before turning to face Uwabami, he said, I am here. Warn you to not lay a damned finger on my nephew. Where is he? He asked. He's unconscious. He used all of his energy fighting that villain. Uwabami went on to say, and the girl he saved was sitting in there all the while, worried out of her mind for her hero. Slam Recovery Girl inquired, where is he? Uwabami said, Room 314. There was silence in the room as All Might and Recovery Girl started to make their way to the elevator. The appearance of Recovery Girl and All Might's declaration left everyone speechless. Slam. What's the status? Inquired All Might. To All Might's surprise, she began, he fell into a coma. Quirk exhaustion is the leading cause of comas, and his case right now is worse than he was since the USJ. He knew he was exhausted, but pushed on anyway. Not to mention he mangled his arm again. Recovery Girl clarified. It was my fault. Burst out Eri. Recovery Girl put it this way. The man who was at fault is no longer with us. It wasn't your fault, dear. I won't let him get sent to Tartarus prison over this, even if it ruins my reputation as a hero. Ignoring that for now, it must be known that I cannot heal him. If I do, then odds are he will die. Recovery Girl concluded, for now we must wait for him to awaken. Hopefully it won't be for long. I hope so too. The media is hounding us. Present Mike said as he put the newspaper down, they think we influenced Izuku to go after that villain. While others are calling for his arrest for killing a villain, illegal quirk use, collateral damage, and other things. The media don't know what they're talking about. Vlad King said, they will talk about anything and say anything controversial just to make money. They forget that Izuku defeated the hero killer, and instead are focusing on this. We should ignore their complaints and focus on the important things. Mr. Aizawa said, for once I agree with you. Principal Nezu stated, well then, I believe the most pressing matter here is inside UA walls. Finally, Midnight said, the students. Correct, videos of the fight surfaced, and it's safe to assume the entire student body has seen them, as well as the articles about Izuku's status. Nezu, the principal, said. All Might questioned, before we get to that, what do we do with the girl? Principal Nezu whispered, oh. The girl. She can't stay by his side, but she doesn't want to leave. Couldn't Shiozaki take care of her? 13 replied, Izuku trusts her the most out of everyone, and aside Tokoyami, is the only one who views Midoriya as a friend. It does make her a prime candidate, and her grades are the top of the class. Nezu, the principal, considered, that settles it, she will be the one who will care for Eri until Izuku recovers. Now the topic of the students. Principal Nezu began, I believe we should end the field studies early, so they could all be together when we deliver the full unbiased news. Very well, I shall send word to their respective pro-heroes. You're all here. Good, we can begin. Sir, why have you called us away from our internships so early? Iida responded. All but 3 people shook their heads when Mr. Aizawa asked, so you all don't know what happened last night? I'm going to be as blunt with all of you. Izuku Midoriya is in a coma. What? That information sent the room into a frenzy. He fought a villain mafia last night, alone. The question Jiru posed was, wait, that giant monster was fighting Midoriya. Correct, and he killed him. The crowd was quiet. The villain's quirk allowed him to destroy and rebuild anything with a single touch, including humans. And said villain had his hands on Midoriya's neck. Once he lost focus, or blinked, he would have been killed. Or worse. He had no choice, but the media wants him arrested for his actions. Will, not if any of the staff at UA have anything to say about it, which we do. Mr. Aizawa responded prior to Monoma finishing his. Anyway, I wanted you all to know that. Best get it out of the way now before you hear it from some news outlet or something. Vlad and I pulled you all out so you can digest this information. Anyway, that's all I wish to explain. Shiozaki raised a hand and said, Sir? Yes? May I visit him? He's currently under intensive care. As of right now, no one but the staff and his family can visit. Mr. Aizawa continued, in a few days to a week you can visit. If you wish, come speak with me and I can give you the address and his room number. Thank you, sir. There were no hands up. Then you're all dismissed. No other questions? In front of Mr. Aizawa, Vlad King, and Eri, Shiozaki questioned, you want me to do what? Midoriya trusts you a great deal. Mr. Aizawa continued, and you're the least frightening of all the other students. I do believe you'll be the best candidate to watch Eri until Midoriya wakes up. Will he wake up? Eri approached Shiozaki before she could reply, fearing for Midoriya's safety. Of course he will. She replied, Midoriya is strong. I know that more than anyone. I wouldn't be surprised if he woke up in 5 days. She nodded as if that had calmed her down. Anyway, we put a small bed into your room. In response, Shiozaki said, all right, and we moved his cactus in there as well. Trying not to stutter, she said, welcome Eri. Given that this had just been thrust upon her a few minutes prior, she was understandably anxious. She didn't know how to care for a child, let alone one who needed to be saved from a violent mafia. What was she supposed to do? She pointed to the smaller bed and said, "Do I sleep here?" Eri climbed into the tiny bed, and Shiozaki replied, "Yes." Silently, she pulled her covers over her head. Shiozaki was concerned about how simple that was. However, she just realized that she most likely didn't get any sleep the night before. Or not at all. Tomorrow, she will attempt to speak with her. Midoriya sat up on his feet and muttered, "Darkness? Nothing? Is this limbo?" He heard a voice behind him say, "Close, but not quite." Midoriya leapt into a protective position, only to notice a thin, white-haired man standing behind him. "This isn't limbo because you're not dead." "Then where is this? And who are you?" First question. "This darkness is one for all." "Okay, I have more questions." Midoriya replied, "What do you mean this is one for all? And how do you know about one for all?" "I can explain that last new question when I answer who I am. For now let's talk about one for all." The individual replied, "As you may have heard, one for all is a power that gets stronger as it's passed on. How that works is that, for lack of a better term, a part of the past users are passed on along with the quirk. Our vestiges are mixed into the core of one for all, meaning their powers added onto the passed on users. As a result, our spirits are passed into one for all, which is why I'm speaking to you right now." He continued, "Now, since you're currently in a coma, your spirit has to go somewhere too, so it resides in one for all until you wake up. So where is one for all? Where your quirk always is. On your quirk factor. Which is, I believe, is on your brainstem, but I could be wrong about that. How do I get out? Simple, just lay back down and close your eyes. I just wanted to tell you some information that might help you, because I don't know if an opportunity will arise again," he replied, prior to grabbing his right temple. "Speaking of, I'm running out of time. Now for your final question. Who am I? My name is Heiko Shigaraki, the first wielder of One for All." "Shigaraki? Is there a problem with my name?" Before shaking his hand, he said, "No, just a slight hint of copyright Yavu. Izuku Midoriya." "Oh, I'm well aware, we've been watching you closely, kid," Heiko replied. "Right. Well, I should be going." He waved and said, "Good luck, ninth." Midoriya paused as he added, "Oh, and next time be completely honest with me." "Right. Knock knock." Shiozaki grunted as she got out of bed and looked at the 8:43 a.m. clock. Before opening the door, she asked herself, "Who is knocking?" To the bewilderment of the vine-haired girl, Asui stood on the other side of Shiozaki's door and said, "Good morning, Ribbit." "Good morning, Asui. Do you need anything?" "Yes. Can I borrow the key to Midoriya's room?" Asui replied. "Why do you need it? He told me about his favorite game, Persona 5. She responded, "He said I could play it once the work studies were over, Ribbit. But he's in a coma, so I figured I would play it now so when he comes back, he can have someone to talk about it with," she clarified. Before giving her the key, she said, "Oh, in surprise. What a nice idea. Want to join me? You and him seem very close. I'm sure he would like to see you talking about it with him, Ribbit. I would rather him and I play it together." Before departing, Asui said, "Well, okay, have a good day, Ribbit. Now breakfast. Eri, do you want to do something today? You can do this again, Abara. You were able to get Midoriya to talk to you. What is he like?" She said something. "Who are you referring to?" Shiozaki shouted to herself before gathering her thoughts. "My hero. He never told me his name. His name is Izuku Midoriya." Shiozaki began. "He's rough around the edges. He rarely talks to any of the others and doesn't come to class." He doesn't, not unless he has to," Shiozaki responded, "but underneath that cold exterior is someone I admire." "Why? Is it because he's strong and isn't scared?" "Those are good qualities, that's to be sure, but what I admire is his kindness," she responded. "He has helped me numerous times, in battle or in my studies. It's not just me, but he has helped some of his other classmates as well." "Really? I'm currently the top of my class in terms of grades. Before I was 11th. He's very intelligent." "What else do you like about him?" "He's very determined, whether it's his work or his hobbies." "What are hobbies?" She thought, that's concerning, but she swallowed it for the moment. Hobbies are activities people like to do. Like playing basketball, watching movies, or building puzzles. "What are his hobbies?" "Video games." "Video games? What are those?" I pray that what I'm going to say isn't sacrilegious. She thought, a video game is like a movie you can control. Midoriya won't let me hear the end of it. To be greeted with a bewildered expression, it would be better to show you than to explain. Huh. Fortunately, she remembered how to set up the Wii U, and the common room's TV is nearly identical to Midoriya's. Only much larger. She also recalled which games Midoriya had chosen for her interest and skill level. Now, it's a question of what games a 5-year-old girl in prison would prefer. Which is most likely anything. With all of the cases spread out on the table, Shiozaki questioned, which one looks good? She was examining every case. Afterward, at the television, she pointed to the television and said, "What's that one?" with 15 distinct icons displayed. Which one? That one. Star. Fox. I'm not familiar with that one. Shiozaki considered this before dragging her cursor over the icon, so we can learn together then. Okay, we'll play that. Okay. As he and Aizawa made their way back to the dorms, Present Mike questioned, are we sure Shiozaki is up to the task? I mean, she's super nice and awesome, but she seemed, I dunno, clueless? As she opened the door, Aizawa retorted, if Izuku can trust her, then she'll be fine. And besides, who else would you leave a mentally damaged girl to than the girl who is a walking Bible? I'm still skepti. Shoot his weak point, like this? Yes. You're doing a good job. As Shiozaki and Eri blasted away at a giant walker, Mike and Aizawa moved slowly and silently to the common room. Eri chanted, never give up, trust your instincts, while she kept shooting, additionally, missing a lot. You were saying? I take back everything I said? Eri shouted, I almost had him, I know. Can we play again tomorrow? Of course. You need to defeat that boss. Eri climbed into bed after saying, right. Good night. Shiozaki turned to face the window and said, good night. At last. Advancement. Chirp chirp. Midoriya sat up on the bed and muttered to himself, I'm awake. As he tore the needle from his vein and got to his feet, Midoriya muttered, V-drip? That's not even necessary for comas. My legs are weak, but I can walk. As he limped through the corridors, something seemed strange to him. Why haven't I been stopped by a nurse? Someone who woke up from a coma should be helped by a nurse. Do the cameras not work? Boom. What was that? Boom, it's. Boom crack. Right above me. A huge hand entered, tore Midoriya from the hospital, and threw him into a building through the city streets. Gah! Exclaimed Midoriya in agony, when he noticed his attacker. Impossible. You're supposed to be dead. My quirk can destroy and rebuild anything. Even me. You can't kill me, and I will use you for my benefit. After saying, I won't let, Midoriya held up a hand to Overhaul. Why can't I use my quirk? Only for nothing to happen. Perish. Slam foop. Were quirk suppressants used by the physicians? Come back here. As Midoriya fled, Overhaul yelled. As he fled, Midoriya thought, I have to run, until my quirk returns I can't beat him. Overhaul followed. You're weak. You couldn't finish the job, he shouted. You will now die a failure. I'm not going to fail. You were the only one who lost the battle, even though you tried to kill me. I rallied my forces while you were in a coma, and were headed to get Eri. You won't find her again this time. There won't be any freedom for her. FWOOSH Midoriya was abruptly confronted by Overhaul, who said, and it's all your fault. FWOOSH slam wham, oh no. MMPH plaw. Drip splatter slam FWOOSH. You're going to die. And you won't be missed. Nobody will even recognize you. And within a week at most, your so-called family will forget you. As he delivered a punch, Overhaul remarked, I hope you've treasured them while you could, because you will burn in hell. As Midoriya took in what Overhaul had just said, time seemed to slow down. Is that where I made a mistake? FWIP, wah. Shortly before Overhaul's punch hit the ground, Midoriya was pulled into a building. You can conceal anything you want. As he started punching more buildings, he shouted, it's just a matter of time until I find you. How can I defeat him without using my power? This guy couldn't defeat the son I reared, at least not without retaliating. Mom? No, it can't. It has been. For so long. You've come a long way. I find it unbelievable. No, it's so unbelievable. You're not real. You've passed away. Additionally, all of it is a dream. I remain in a coma. Inko Midoriya, Midoriya's mother, said, that was inherently obvious. IV Drip was in a coma. There were no doctors to stop him. A villain you repeatedly stabbed in the face was still alive when his brain was in his head, and most importantly, your deceased mother is communicating with you. Correct. All right. What's stopping you from using your quirk? I'm unable to. I'm in a coma. Are you certain? Or are you making an excuse out of that? That's the reality. No, it isn't. The reason is that you're afraid. Afraid of what? I don't know, you tell me. I can't because I'm not afraid. Yes you are. No I'm not, Midoriya yelled. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of anything. It's okay to admit your fears, you know. I am your mother after all. This is the last building. Crumble slam slam bam. AHA. There you are, Izuku. You're running out of time. What are you afraid of? Nothing. Izuku, if you don't be honest with yourself you will die. What are you afraid of? Overhaul exclaimed. Gra. And ripped down the wall separating him from the Midoriyas. I'm afraid of losing. Midoriya screamed. I'm afraid of losing the family I never loved and appreciated. I don't want to lose anyone else. Now D-I-E. Get away from me, BZZT. Oh no. Everyone gets one. Slam whoosh. W what? I'm proud of you, Izuku. Inko grinned and said, now get rid of this villain. As Midoriya launched Jet into the air, he said, right. Gra. I won't let you kill me again, shouted Overhaul, retaliating with a punch. As he infused his body with one for all, Midoriya remarked, if I'm in a coma, then I can use my power without any drawbacks. You will die. Whoosh. W what? As he leapt directly in front of Overhaul's face, Midoriya declared, I won't die today. And I won't lose to you or anyone else. D damn you. FWOOSH wham, this battle was over with a single blow. The body of Overhaul went limp. Before it began to disappear, revealing Overhaul in his true state as he began to wane as well. Stay where you belong, forgotten. Subsequently, he vanished. Forever. According to Inko Midoriya, I'm so proud of you. As she began to fade away too. It may not mean much coming from me. A fake. But I'm so proud of you. And I love you. So much. Midoriya wiped his eyes and said, TCH. I love you too. I miss you so much. I miss you too. But I'm not in a hurry to see you again, and neither should you. She concluded by hugging him. Keep living, and love your new family. So you truly won't have any fear. When Inko's body began to fade, Midoriya uttered the words, I will. And now. Goodbye. Izuku. The city surrounding him began to collapse into emptiness, and she was gone. Then. The world turned white. Echo. NGGH. Is it another hallucination? The nurse saw Midoriya sitting up and exclaimed, time to check for the 30th what? TTTTTT, that's impossible. It's been like 4 days. I cough, can I have a drink of water? D doctor. How are you feeling, son? How long was I out? Midoriya asked, I don't know. As of right now, 4 whole days. Earlier than any normal person would wake up. Do you know why? I had an epiphany. Slam. Where is he? Shouted Midnight as present Mike, Aizawa, and she hurried inside. After saying, I'll leave you all alone. I will be back with some food. The physician departed the room. If you didn't just wake up from a coma, I would slap you across the face. Midnight yelled, what were you thinking? I wasn't. When I found Eri, I didn't think about my actions when I told her I would save her. Midoriya clarified, my heart told me to save her, and after Overhaul took her back to their base and I gave her hope of salvation. I didn't think of anything asides, save her. I didn't think about what happened to me. I didn't think about you all either. Wah, Aizawa said, let him finish. Near the end, when Overhaul had me by the throat, and he told me he was going to kill me, and then rebuild me so he can use me and Eri for drugs. I was scared, Midoriya acknowledged, and it took me falling into a coma-induced nightmare to realize that I was scared of losing. I was scared of losing you all by being killed. I was scared of losing everything. Izuku, I also realized that I never told all of you how much I appreciated and loved all of you. You raised me since the incident, and I was so focused on finding my mother's killer that I focused solely on that. I was an inch away from death, and I would have died with regrets. So, You idiot, shouted Midnight, before tightly embracing him, you may have not said anything, but you're not heartless enough to not love us. Sure, you're a massive jerk for not saying it, and focusing on finding your mother's killer is understandable. But that villain's identity won't spring up from nowhere. I'm not saying you should give up. That's a horrible thing to say, but enjoy the life you have right now and take a break every once in a while. And I'm not just saying this because somebody forgot to get you health insurance. It was Shota's job. I was taking a nap, therefore it falls to you. That's not how it works. Moving on. I'm saying this not just as your aunt, but also your teacher. This job is full of risks and dangers. Do your job, but make sure you don't have any regrets. ... According to Midoriya, understood. Just before the doctor returned with food, midnight, Aizawa and Mike left the room and she gave the order, "Good, not let's get out of here. Now, we need to run a few tests to see how much physical therapy you'll need if any." "Right. Let's get started." He's awake. He woke up last night. It was a surprise for us as well. Aizawa continued, however, he has to go through physical therapy. Luckily it's nothing major, just trying to regain movement in his legs. However, finals will not be pushed back, he stated, with Kaminari and Ishido grumbling, "Judging by that groan, you must not be studying properly. Maybe I should make the finals earlier." Thwack wham wham with a shout of, "Shut up!" Juru and Kirishima slapped Kaminari on the side and back of his head, while Asui's tongue gave Ishido a gentler slap. "But sir, will Midoriya have enough time to study?" Yaoyorozu's comment was cut off when Aizawa remarked, "You seem to forget, he got the top score in the midterms. Without being in class." "Right, he'll be fine. Moving on, you have the written exam, that much is certain, but that's not all. You also have a secret practical exam on everything you've learned so far. And allow me to reiterate, that those who do not pass will not attend the summer training camp in the woods, and will be trapped here in summer school hell. So you better not slack off." "Yes sir." "Good. Now I'm going to the hospital to check on Midoriya, study hard, Iida's in charge." "Almost. Got it." Clink clank. Midoriya selected the padlock that secured the chains around his body. And he was free after that was removed. PUD. To land on his face. As he crawled to the bars along the walls for support, Midoriya moaned, "Damned legs. Okay. Now I just have to move." Slip thud. "Right. I spilled my water here." Slam. "It's not what it looks like, Doc." There was a female voice asking, "Are you alright?" Rolling onto his back and facing the woman, Midoriya moaned, "NGGH. I'm fine, physical therapy." The white-haired woman approached to assist Midoriya in standing up, saying, "Oh, I should help you up." Midoriya waved her away. He grabbed for the bar and struggled to stay upright, saying, "I won't get better if I can't do this myself." So. My neighbor was a teenager. After making a crutch to help him walk to his bed and using poltergeist to free the chains, Midoriya said, "Yes. Care to take a seat?" he asked. "I don't want to impose." Midoriya retorted, "You're already here, might as well take a seat." As she sat next to Midoriya, the woman nodded and said, "So why are you here? In the hospital, I mean." Midoriya clarified, "I fought a villain and fell into a coma. I woke up last night." Oh, I'm sorry. What about you?" Midoriya asked. "It's over now, so there's no point in being sorry." "I do not wish to explain." "Understandable. But can you tell me your name?" Midoriya asked. "Rei. Rei Todoroki. So you're his mother. You know Shoto?" "I know him. He's my classmate." Midoriya continued, "He's cold and uncaring. He only uses his ice. Which is what I assume is your quirk." She acknowledged, "Yes. I have an ice quirk. So he's doing poorly?" she asked. "He's one of the top students, so no, and I can't say anything about his personality, because I'd be a hypocrite." Midoriya replied, "So I'm just saying it how it is." Slam. "You got out again? And now I'm in trouble." Midoriya sighed, "You should return to your room. Feel free to come visit if you need. We are neighbors after all." "Alright. And thank you. I didn't do anything, but you're welcome." Slam. Midoriya. Hero, one moment. Clink clank. "When will they learn that more locks won't change the outcome?" Midoriya murmured, "So what brings you here?" "They're here to visit you. And I'm here to see how your physical therapy is going. And considering the fact that the nurses and doctors are constantly complaining that you're trying to speed up your physical therapy, I'll assume it's going well. I can barely walk 3 steps without falling on my face, so it's going well. In any case, I'm here to inform you that the final exams are approaching. At least you're walking," Aizawa said. "They will not be pushed back for you, either." I'm not concerned about that. Aizawa handed Midoriya his phone and held it up to his ear, adding, but you should be concerned about this. Hello. How are you just going to go into a coma, wake up, and not tell me? You little jerk. Hello Tensai. Hello Tensai, me. Please. Just wait, I'll yell when I get there. Click. Now you've made him even more mad. Worth it. And then, Pishu PSHEW, 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 and this rabbit, this giant lava monster began to hurl rocks. What was his name? Peppy. When I wasn't feeling well, Peppy came in and told me to never give up. Have faith in your intuition. And I beat him when he did. It required me to. Eri exclaimed before pulling out her fingers. 1, 4, 7. Well, countless attempts. You have shown her video games, then? To be completely honest, there was no other way for me to communicate with her. Before putting down his tea, Midoriya said, I see, so what did I miss? In general, nothing significant. The most crucial thing was the finals, but you don't care about it. Talking about. Do you need tutoring? No, however, I need assistance tutoring others. They are using your excellent grade as leverage to raise their own. It should have been obvious. Well, I'll assist you as soon as I leave. I would appreciate that. Mister, we have physical therapy scheduled for today, Midoriya, in addition to the independent physical therapy you performed. It was nice seeing you, Midoriya. Have a safe trip. Master. Yes? Shigaraki Tamura. Some information was obtained by our field agent. In the hospital, that green-haired brat is awake. Since he is immobile, now is the ideal moment to get rid of our greatest danger. We require Nomu. Master. Before unmuting his screen, he thought, very well, we can spare 3, make sure to not lose them this time. I can't let Tamura get suspicious. That was not my yes, master. BZZT, good luck. As the hospital transitioned from chains to a straight jacket, Midoriya thought, 4351. 4352. 4352 number 4353 wait, did I count that one? This tunnel vision is the worst. I get the feeling this isn't proper hospital protocol, she said. Slam, ribbit, Midoriya? Asui asked. Before taking in the scene before her, was it a bad time for me to come? The doctors were upset that I keep breaking out of my restraints to do physical therapy on my own to return faster. I think that's against the law, ribbit. I don't care enough, but it probably is. And if I wanted to, I could tear this to pieces. Midoriya said, then sat up, so what did you need? Well, I wanted to let you know boom, gra. What is that? A tall, black monster appeared in front of them, and Asui yelled. A Nomu. What is a Nomu? He must want to kill me while I'm weak, so I'll give him that. A mutated villain. I fought one at the USJ, Midoriya clarified. Was that the cause of your severe injuries? Yes, but I wasn't as weak as I was last time. Rip Shink as he got out of bed, Midoriya said, get out of here, Asui. He stood up on his own 2 feet, struggling to maintain his balance, and said, I'll take care of him. Why you are unable to? Midoriya answered, but do me a favor, I have to. What? As many people as you can should leave, and remove the woman from room 315. Midoriya ejected the Nomu from the hospital before she could react. Asui bolted from the room after shaking herself out of her reverie. You, Ribbit, better stay safe, Midoriya, Ribbit. Slam as Shigaraki stood next to 2 Nomu, one with wings and the other with extremely long gray limbs. Midoriya questioned, so you came to kill me while I'm injured? Shigaraki clarified, that's right, but it seems the intelligence was a little off, so I figured that's why I brought 3 Nomu. If I recall correctly. Without breaking all of your usable limbs, it would be impossible to defeat one. How are you going to perform against 3? You say what's true. But compared to a few months ago, I'm not as weak, as he charged 50% of one for all and activated dupli arms, sprouting 6 arms before charging the Nomus. Midoriya declared, I won't even need my ultimate form to beat these 3 Nomus. Murder him. Gra. The 3 of them charged at Midoriya, but Midoriya's arms deflected their blows. Boom, pop pop pop. Before he threw the winged and gray Nomu away, a huge explosion engulfed the Nomus from the 3 arms. He recovered enough to be able to fight the 3 Nomus, Shigaraki said, adding, and they aren't as powerful as the anti-symbol of peace, but they still have regeneration. But they won't be able to stop him. Right this way, Ribbit. As Shigaraki pointed to the black Nomu, he thought, that girl. She's one of UA's brats. If I capture her, he will have to stop fighting. You, get the woman. Before turning to face the other two, he gave the order, you two keep fighting him. Before Midoriya could comprehend Shigaraki's words, the winged and gray Nomu rushed at Midoriya, while the black Nomu rushed at Asui and the patients she was leading out of the hospital. He will have to choose between sacrificing himself or the girl. No, they're too fast. Damn it, why didn't I get Zero's quirk? Shouted Midoriya as he charged at the black Nomu, the other two closing in on him. Your game is over, hero. As Midoriya made a fruitless attempt to stop the Nomu, Shigaraki yelled. I must seize him. FWIPA black tendril encircled the black Nomu at that precise moment, halting its progress. What the hell is that? Looking at the black tendril that was holding the struggling Nomu, Midoriya exclaimed, what the hell is this? There's no time to ask questions, get it away. He told himself as he threw the Nomu at the other two, but the black tendril persisted. How'd I turn it off? Midoriya asked, but he shook his head and said, forget it for now, use him as a ball and chain. As Shigaraki watched Midoriya use one of his Nomus as a weapon against him, he thought, what the hell? Where did this brat get a quirk like this? No hero has a quirk like that. His quirk is copying other people's quirks? So how? Shigaraki wondered angrily before calming down and saying, seems I failed. But I didn't completely lose. I got information out of this. Kurogiri, get us out of here. Shigaraki shouted as purple portals materialized in front of Midoriya's swing and beneath the downed Nomus. Both Midoriya and the one behind Shigaraki were taken aback by the portals. This is the last time I underestimate you, he said. The next time we get together, I'll murder you. Before entering the portal and leaving the fight, he issued this warning. After a single sigh of relief, Midoriya's arm began to sting. GHH. Midoriya. Asui hurried to her classmate's side and exclaimed. That hurt a lot. That was his only comment on the subject. You managed to walk for a total of 15 seconds, Recovery Girl yelled before whacking him upside the head with her cane. 15 seconds of silence. Not even a minute, what took place? Midoriya said, Nomu happened, and then got to his feet. You're back on your feet. All Might and the others need to know about something, it's crucial. What could be so important that would require you to move again? One for All is evolving. I'll call them in. What is it? All Might questioned in disbelief. It's evolving. Midoriya restated, I'm not sure how or whether this has anything to do with One for All. However, a black tendril sprang out of my hand and seized the Nomu as I was attempting to reach out to Asui in the hopes of grabbing it. I used the Nomu as a weapon because I was unable to stop it. I received a new quirk that I hadn't previously copied, regardless of that unnecessary information. Does a quirk like that sound familiar, All Might? Midnight inquired. All Might retorted, anything else about One for All you wish to report? My master didn't tell me anything about a power like that, so it doesn't. I talked to the first user. What? It was surprising, but in a way, it was instructive. He talked about how One for All became more powerful as it was passed down. That as it is passed on, a portion of the prior user is added. Which may be how I acquired this new ability. However, that hasn't been decided yet. Midoriya shrugged, adding, anyway, that's all I wanted to discuss. Do you know anything about the League of Villains and the Nomus? Aizawa inquired. Midoriya said, nothing much, but Shigaraki is getting smarter. He knew his attack was futile, so instead of staying and trying to beat me, he retreated with his Nomus. As opposed to when he abruptly left the USJ, leaving behind a number of allies and the Nomu who almost killed me. Mumbled Principal Nezu, that's troubling. Anyway. Midoriya muttered, it's nice to be back, but I have one thing to do. Fine. But note that you have 4 days to prepare for the final exams, warned Aizawa. There's plenty of time there, dingling. Yes, it's you. The front desk agent shouted. Is Uebami present? Yes? She stammered, why yes, she's in her break room. Before pressing the elevator's button to the 50th floor, Midoriya said, excellent. After an agonizingly long wait, he finally reached the 50th floor. Knock knock. Who is it? From behind the door, Uebami inquired. Uebami. Before the door flew open, there was the sound of high heels hitting the tile and papers flying. You're okay. Why yeah I am. Midoriya said, rubbing the back of his head, I was in the neighborhood. And thought I'd apologize for giving you so much trouble. Midoriya bowed. You were worried about that? You were injured rescuing a young girl. You were put into a coma, and you're saying you're sorry for it? Uebami inquired. Indeed. Then Uwabami sighed. You know, a lot of people want you arrested for your actions. Midoriya, what you did was heroic. I've heard. Most of the heroes, and definitely the press, didn't connect the dots, Uwabami continued, adding, I'm not one of them. Everything was destroyed by a mafia that had previously mostly operated in the background. I'm happy you saved that young girl from them, even though I have no idea why they needed her so badly. She was being used by him to create a medication that would eliminate a person's quirk. What? Before letting his tongue fall out of his mouth, Midoriya uttered, I don't know how, but I have them. You might want to turn away. As Midoriya began to gag audibly, Uwabami turned away and nodded. What are you? Plah. He groaned, as he spat out a small case. That wasn't enjoyable. What? The name, Frog, is one of my quirks. It makes me resemble a frog. Like having a long tongue, or adhering to a wall. Before preparing a big bottle of disinfectant and paper towels to clean the case, Midoriya explained. Somehow the doctors didn't notice this case while they were doing my x-rays. And let me spit up whatever's in my stomach. I won't ignore a gift's price tag, though. So, is it true that the drugs in that case can eliminate quirks? If one is to believe him. As he pocketed the case, Midoriya remarked, I don't necessarily want to test it. Well. You rescued the girl and that from the villain's grasp. Trying not to gag at the sights and sounds that were ingrained in her memory, Uwabami remarked, that's good. But I caused you trouble. According to Uwabami, you really didn't. Because of me the internships ended early, so I apologize. It didn't? Okay. Uwabami sighed, please help me out with something if you're so committed to apologizing. Anything. As Midoriya took the script to review it, Uwabami said, here's the script for the commercial. However, he noticed something. What's? 2 snakes. Well. As she stood in front of him, Uwabami said, oh, I forgot about that. This commercial will almost be your internship graduation. This is what I planned to do when it really was going to end. But it doesn't matter, she said, holding out her hand to him. That part about the twin snakes is obviously optional. That is, if you don't want my power. What? It's Midoriya's turn to be perplexed now. It goes without saying that I was and continue to be impressed. You initially believed that this was required in order to continue taking classes. Even though it was no longer necessary, you returned to complete the task. I'm not going to say you should be my sidekick, Uwabami said, adding that it should be up to the heroes in training to choose their partner rather than the heroes themselves stating that they would fit. Not to brag about myself, but my quirk is called Serpentress, she said, gesturing to her snakes, but I think it will help you along the way. I get 3 snakes in my hair as a result. Because of their keen senses, snakes are able to identify both enemy locations and victims hidden beneath debris. To let me know where they are, they telepathically communicate with me. But their offensive capabilities are limited. I don't overtly need it. Well, that's unfortunate, Uwabami uttered before Midoriya seized her hand. Pop 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 3 snakes emerged from his hair as he said, TS's. However, I now respect you. A lot. So I'll use it in my arsenal, Midoriya said, before Uwabami's eyes brightened and she gave Midoriya a tight hug. That is so cute. Don't hug me. BZZ. Who is texting you? Snipe inquired. A girlfriend. Mike made fun of it. Fwap. Unkind. The text message read, I'll be taking a leave of absence up until the final exam. Aizawa rolled his eyes before examining the picture and text message. When he opened it, he saw a picture of Midoriya and Uwabami with 3 snakes on Midoriya's head. That is so cute. Mike cooed, before snatching the phone and uploading the picture to the teacher's group chat. A group chat that is too vile to mention, and now it's immortalized. You're the worst. All right. Uwabami instructed her interns to conceal a number of radios throughout the building, and Midoriya was assigned to the top floor to locate them all. One's on the 34th floor, right. One's on the 23rd floor, go on. The 13th floor has one. The 43rd is another. And the final one? In your purse, and it's off. Uwabami laughed and took out the radio, saying, wow. For a novice. However, they will be beneath heaps of debris in a rescue operation, and you will be surrounded by a lot of loud noises. It won't be this simple to locate them, and the silence won't last this long. Understood. We'll ramp up the difficulty later, for now the camera crew is here. Let's get some practice runs in. Right. As Midoriya took a step forward, Uwabami urged him to go for it. HMPH. A crying child and a terrified adult on the 32nd floor, Midoriya said with a grunt before indicating the various floors. An elderly man with a wound on the 24th floor and a teenager with what appears to be a broken leg on the 13th floor. The puppy whimpers on the 10th floor. The secretary is hiding beneath a table on the 12th floor. A man on the 50th floor is waving for assistance. You got it. After shouting as they hurried inside the structure, the firefighters brought out the civilians that Midoriya had listed a short while earlier. Have I overlooked anything? Uwabami smiled proudly as Midoriya inquired. Uwabami smiled and said, no, you did perfectly, thanks for your help, she told the firefighters. The chief firefighter said, it's good to see you found a successor. It's our pleasure, Ms. Uwabami ma'am. Hey, I'm not that old to be worrying about a successor. Uwabami responded, but he's coming along well, had my power for only 4 days and he's already proficient at it. After wiping his sweaty brow, the chief said, that's pretty impressive. Well, it's pretty late, so we should go back to the station. Give us a call if you wish to do this again. Before turning to face Midoriya, Uwabami remarked, got it. This implies that your final is tomorrow, correct? Midoriya said, yes. After that, let's head back so you can rest. In the morning, I'll drop you off at UA. Sounds like a plan. Whatever became of Midoriya? Ashido inquired. Asui answered, dunno, he seemed fine at the hospital, ribbit. Alright, so. Now let's start the final test. Keep in mind that you could fail this final. As Iida held up his hand, Aizawa clarified, if you want to go to camp, then don't make any stupid mistakes. Mister. How about Midoriya? With his class standing behind him, Vlad King declared, we're here, Eraser. What brings these B-list extras here, too? Bakugo inquired. Now, I expect many of you have gathered information and believe you have some idea of what you'll be faced with today, Aizawa said, causing Iida to slam his hand back down. Let me finish the explanation of the final practical first, then I'll answer any and all questions. Those big metal robots are what we're up against, with excitement, Kaminari yelled. Fireworks, s'mores, camp, we're coming, Ashido gave a cheer. However, nothing could be further from the truth than that. As he climbed out of Aizawa's scarf, Principal Nezu yelled, startling Ashido and Kaminari. Why you don't want us to battle the robots? Yaoyorozu inquired in a startled manner. No, however, what will you be battling? Slam. Is your classmate, Izuku Midoriya, the previous evening. As he distributed his Day 3 final packet, Midoriya said, done. Principal Nezu glanced over it and then stamped an A+ on it, saying, congratulations, you've passed the written exam. And the final exam is coming up. What is it? You will be fighting the entirety of 1A and 1B. It will be a complete destruction, despite the 3-day rehabilitation and the 4-day coma. That might be the case, but I won't grade them according to whether they beat you. Principal Nezu remarked, no, it's a matter of seeing how they would adapt if met with a giant obstacle. However, if they do, they deserve to pass. Me being the enormous obstacle? Correct. Principal Nezu affirmed, all you have to do is make this really challenging. But acceptable. The students will be responsible for their own failure if they do. I understand. So, that's all I have to say about it. Tomorrow is going to be a big day, so make sure you get some sleep. What? Midoriya is our adversary, Ashido cried out. How is that reasonable? Hagakure shouted. There will be villains in this world who possess a very potent quirk. This is something that Midoriya can vouch for, Principal Nezu clarified. How can we defeat him, though? Mineta shook in terror and cried out. Before giving Iida a map, Aizawa said, that's for you to figure out. It was a map of the battlefield. Pay close attention to it. You have 15 minutes to devise a strategy. Since Midoriya could cause chaos in the city, your goal is to capture him or defeat him in combat. Escaping will not earn you a passing grade. You had better have a solid plan if you intend to camp. Gazing at Tokoyami, Shiozaki, Iida, Bakugo, and Yaoyorozu, Midoriya remarked, I expect to see your best. Because I will be giving my best. You heard him, get to it.
I will continue the story in next part. Till then, bye bye.